Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the show today. Very happy to have you here. It is an absolutely gorgeous day outside, which is always nice for you guys. Of course, it is Sunday, but you know, hopefully you enjoyed your Memorial weekend. It's usually when the barbecues kick off, but it's also some parades, and it is a good time to show a little bit of respect and memory for those who have fought for our freedom. And I do remember when I was a kid, being a band geek, I went to many a march in a parade on Memorial Day. Even played a bass drum once. But nevertheless, hopefully all was well with you last week. Welcome. We're going to get into some interesting little stories here today, of course. Let me just go over here and hit the like and share button. Hopefully, you guys will do the same and get as many people in here as we can. So I know there was a pretty fiery weekend there with a bunch of stuff, and mainly it seemed to be around movie things. It's interesting that the actual news, important news around the world, doesn't seem to really make headlines anymore. Nevertheless, hey Grimlock, how you doing?
How you doing, man?
I'm
Good.
well. I had a good weekend, man. It was quiet. My son came back from his Tokyo training, went up, met him and his girlfriend, had some dinner with them, and he's off in his new apartment with their new car and starting his new job. And yay! I was happy. My
Good.
wife cried, of course. Women.
Well,
Well,
you know how they are.
yeah, we
You've
know
been
how
around
they
'em.
are.
You've been around them enough.
I have, I have, but of course, I understand why, but it's like, he's doing good, man. He went out there and did what he's supposed to do. He's got him starting out his thing. It's really neat, you know. I'm happy as
Good.
hell for him. Success, man. I That's a notch on my belt, but you know, I guess it's dawned on her that well, yeah, he's gone. Yeah, he is.
Yeah. But
You don't have any chilling?
no, no, no.
Mm.
The world is not prepared for another one of me.
Oh, I see. Yeah. You gotta get out there. You gotta replace yourself, and you need 2.1 of them. So
Yeah.
I don't know how you make a point one, but here's to the effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
So how was your
I don't
weekend?
know how you do. I don't know how you do it, but I guess you have fun while you're doing it.
I imagine. Yeah, that's true. What'd you do this weekend?
Um. Well, it was May, so I watched the last night of the May Sumo Basho in Tokyo last night.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Um, I was gonna ask you about this because I've been watching the tournament and I figured I would ask this because you know Japan being there as long as you have.
Mm.
Um, the Japanese people, are they particularly vocal about things the government does that they're not in support of?
No, the Japanese don't say anything. They're quiet. Yeah. Why you say?
Well, okay, so one of the big stories in this sumo basho was the return of Asanayama to the top ranks.
Okay.
And Asanayama was an Ozeki. And I say that he was because back in 2020, when COVID first broke out, they had put some restrictions on there was restrictions on where people could go and whatnot. And Asanayama was found to be in violation of said restrictions.
Yeah.
So he was punished by being suspended for a full year, which, stripped him of his rank and sent him all the way down the ranks from, being almost Yokozuna to way down in the bottom ranks.
Mm-hmm.
And upon his return, one of the things that like the commentary teams have made note of is that the very vocal support of him on return. That he's more popular than he's ever been, and I was wondering is that was are they just happy to see him back, or is it because of what he went through with these violations? Because
It's probably a little bit of both. I mean, that's how Japanese would protest, by support.
yeah,
So they're not going to get up, yell and scream and protest like we would. But they, being very supportive of an individual, and maybe and vocally so, that's a very Japanese way to protest. Yeah, it's like
yeah,
non-protest protest. Yeah,
because
that's
like
yeah,
every time he was out there, like they would come out to do their ceremonies, they would announce him, the crowd goes nuts.
yeah.
He comes out for his match, the crowd goes nuts, and so it's like it was kind of interesting to me because I was like, is that their way of saying they didn't agree with those restrictions?
Yeah, no, there's probably a little bit of that. That's kind of how Japanese would protest something.
Mm,
They just don't make noise. And the thing is, on other sides of it, it's a good thing. Like Tohoku was a very, very serious situation. 20,000 Japanese died. And you got to
yeah,
understand that Japanese spent a lot of money on seawalls and protections from tsunamis and things like that.
yeah,
Earthquake prevention and et cetera, et cetera. Lots of money. So the fact that 20,000 died show you how bad it really was. If you compare that to the one a decade earlier in the Indian Ocean tsunami that killed 220,000 people,
right,
it's comparison, right? um
yeah,
so but during that, or after that fact, no one in that region has any water, have no electricity, have no shelter. They basically ran into the mountain, right? But some of
mm,
the convenience stores and stuff are open, and they were just using those as a place to give out free water and free stuff. And people quietly stood in line. There wasn't a single case of looting, not a single person raped, not a single crime had, not one.
so people understanding the severity of the situation and
Hmm.
acting accordingly.
Yeah, like adults, human. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
yeah, the
over in
opposite of what we do here.
Yeah, well, in our country, I won't name any names, but you're going to see a lot of asinine behavior coming out of certain demographics.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. Unfortunately, it's half of mine.
yeah, no, it's absolutely outrageous, and we see it happen all the time. It's gotten worse and worse and worse. The entitlement of that certain demographic is way out of hand. The good thing is, that's the how should we say, the urbanites that are ones that are doing that. The normal members of that demographic aren't part of that demographic. That is Americans, and they're starting
Mm,
to get pissed. We're starting to hear more and
yeah,
more out of them, and that's a good thing. But I remember during Katrina that Katrina actually hit over in like Biloxi area, is where it hit, right, in
yep,
Mississippi. And that those little towns there on the coast going up into Mississippi, they weren't just hit by that hurricane, they were leveled. I mean, every
yep,
building in those towns was just splinters, right? But those are mixed communities of normal people living in normal life, right? And they all
yep.
worked together and they helped each other. It was great. It was great. Never saw it on the news though, did you? Yeah, because they spent all their time looking at frickin' New Orleans and the absolute
Yeah.
debauchery and ridiculous things that were going on there. And then they had the audacity to turn around and sue that state, even though they told you to get your asses out. And of course, what was all the reports we were getting why they didn't leave was because their government checks came on Monday.
Yep.
This isn't even a joke. It's
Dumb reason
real.
to stay. I
Yeah.
know. It's a dumb reason to stay.
So, and of course, then it was outrage. How dare we treat these people like this? What do you talk about? They were told to get out.
Yeah.
What treatment? And Bush, although he's bit of a bumbly buffoon and he really wasn't in charge of anything any more than Biden is, he's blamed for everything. It's like, what are you talking about? That you were told to get out. They put preparations in place and they got hit by a freaking category 5 hurricane. Literally the hand of God. What do you got to do about that? You know? Speaking of that, there's a couple videos going around, not once but twice, of star observers looking at distant stars and literally seeing a hand appear in the sun, move around, and then leave. Have you seen those videos? It's pretty freaky.
Was not aware of them.
Yeah,
I would imagine so.
yeah, no, that's literally the hand of God. That's interesting. Well, how do you explain that? Someone between the telescope and the sun somehow do one of those little shadow puppet tricks on it, and of course
Oh,
the plasma of the sun was being moved around by it as well, but it was literally a hand, looked just like a hand. I don't know how to explain that.
I'll say this:
Anyway,
a
yeah,
hell of an optical illusion, if that's what it is.
I don't know. Yeah, I know, Dave. I ain't even joking. Go look it up.
David
Hand
said,
of God videos. Yeah, there's two of
said
them, not
Asana
one, but
Yama is
two.
my cousin.
Huh?
They're looking at his comment where he said Asana Yama is my cousin.
Oh, is he? Well, there you go. But I did watch sumo when I first came here because it was a cultural thing and I was trying to understand Japan, but I wasn't that interested in it, so I haven't watched much since. I did enjoy Mai Nomi back in the day because he was little.
Yeah,
I actually saw him in person once too. He's a little guy, but then again, most of
yeah.
those guys are smaller than me. So, but
Well, no, the smallest of the small always gets the big hands, like Enho and Midori Fuji. They get a
yeah,
lot of love from the crowd.
sure, yeah, everyone roots for the underdog. This is the
I
interesting
was
thing. Go
one
ahead.
of my favorites because I like seeing like the non-Japanese guys, like because they just stick out so much.
Yeah,
Like Toshinoshin, like Toshinoshin is like your size, where
yeah,
he's from Georgia.
yeah. Well, some of them are bigger than me.
Mm,
Akebono
yeah,
was definitely bigger than I was. I am.
well,
They have a few.
Akebono is bigger than a lot
Yeah,
of
a
people.
lot of people. Yeah, no, but I mean, but no, that some of them are quite large. And I've always found it interesting that mainly when you get foreigners involved with sumo, they're either from the Polynesians, or from
Yep.
the Baltics, right?
Yeah, a lot of
And
Mongolians.
yeah, well, yeah, sure. I mean, they're don't say anything, but they and the Japanese really aren't different people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, there have been some. One of them had a real bad ego issue there a few years back. But yeah, no, I guess they should be lucky that they don't get some of the more access to training, better training, and better facility peoples coming up in on them because they might get inundated. The Japanese aren't really known for their strength.
Well, I also um find it so funny that how in America we're like, well, we let these people have their culture and whatnot, and you go to Japan, it's like, nah, you're gonna be one of us.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You got
Like
to stick to it stringently. Yep.
one of the Bulgarians, Oyama. Like this is massive white dude. What's his real name? Dan.
Sure. Yeah.
But here he's Oyama.
No. They because keep in mind, sumo is a religious practice in its
Yeah,
inception, right? It's become entertainment and sport, but it still has all that in there. Japanese are very strict, and their training regimes are very strict. But then again, that's why
yeah.
a lot of times they send people over here for training, like with baseball or pro wrestling and stuff like that, because the Japanese don't play around. They're going to put some hurting on you. You know?
Oh yeah, there was a recent scandal about that actually.
Yeah, that
One
girl.
of the no one of it was this young man. He was getting beat with a bat by one of the trainers. Like
Sumo or pro
like
wrestling?
sumo.
Sumo. Yeah, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like caused the kid a concussion and all kinds of things.
Hmm. And you got to keep in mind too that Japanese are xenophobic. They are.
Yeah,
Most people
I have
that
heard.
doesn't translate into anything, but some of the more traditional peoples are not only xenophobic, but they're racist, right? So as a foreigner
Hmm.
coming over here and getting involved in something like sumo, you're going to run into some of the uglier Japanese people. You're going to, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I hardly ever see them. Occasionally it comes up, but I know how to deal with them. Because it's embarrassing to the other Japanese. If you deal in the right way, you can actually shame them
Ah,
in the right way, right? But in those situations, it's rough. And I haven't seen any people of a browner persuasion come into the sumo. I mean, they could try, I suppose, but boy,
you
they
know,
would get a harsh treatment, dude.
I mean, outside of Akebono, like that was pretty much
Yeah,
it.
yeah, the
And
Polynesians, yeah.
like, and that was pretty much like because when I was a kid, that's like when I remembered them actually playing sumo on ESPN and whatnot.
Hmm. Well, you had Musashi
Like,
Maru, you had uh, Kojiki, was that his name?
yeah,
Yeah, these are all Hawaiians, yeah.
like I don't know if you remember, like back in New York, they would have like an annual tournament at Madison Square Garden, but that was like that would be it.
Yeah, no, occasionally they bring on tour to do stuff like that. You see a lot of those kind of things over in New York. They like their diversity. They ain't a new thing. Yeah,
Oh no,
yeah. But
yeah,
yeah, I
that
haven't watched in years.
that's why I tell them that this thing you're acting like's the new thing. We already had it. And now to sound like an old man, it was better back then.
It might have been. I'm really not a person to follow it. There is a girl here
No,
that's
I'm saying when we did diversity back then, we did it better.
well because it wasn't diversity. It was just America.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean it
well
wasn't about that.
that it wasn't being done on it wasn't being done in spite either.
Yeah, no, no, it wasn't. And of course, that's the thing. It's always funny about a lot of this stuff, and these, first I'm the first to do this and that, and it's like you're not even close to it. America's always been proud of its diversity. We are the great
Yeah.
melting pot, and that's something as an America you take pride in. It's interesting how the various, organizations and leaderships were able to twist that because I mean, the only thing we have keeping us together is that flag, right? We don't have
Yeah.
a common ancestry. We don't have a common culture. I mean, you got 50 independent cultures, right?
Yeah.
But the thing that keeps us together is that flag and our love of the fact that we're different. I've never seen or studied a time that where we had more racial difference than we do now. And it's strange, and that's including the Civil War. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, because there were differences, but there was also a lot of commonality in the conversations between them. One of the things that the modern people, because they keep going on in California about reparations and stuff, and it's like such a dumb conversation because do they even realize how many thousands of black slave owners there were?
No, they
Do they
don't.
have any
Most
clue at
people
all? Yeah,
at some point I would love to just tell the story in its entirety,
yeah, it would be
ugliness
nice,
and
huh?
all,
Yeah,
because a lot of people really want to believe this indoctrination that they have had. And no, it's look, I'm not saying it was good. I'm not saying anything bad it was good about it or anything like that. I'm not trying to advocate. What I want is okay, this happened, tell it in its entirety
yeah, no,
because
yeah,
a lot of people would probably be horrified, especially to know that the East's philosophy on slavery, and there are still many countries
oh, lots of slaves.
and
Oh yeah, oh
that
yeah.
even right now see nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, no, 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 and have Thomas Sowell narrate it before he dies. Yeah, that would be great. Uh, but no, they don't get it. Because slavery
I
isn't. Of course, to them it is, but slavery isn't a thing. Isn't a racial thing. Even the word slave is coming from Slav. The
Yep.
Russian types, right? That's where the word comes from, which should tell you something. But no, it was a class thing.
Yeah,
You're low level. You were captured and sold into slavery, or maybe your parents did, or what have you. And it's been going on for thousands of years. It rears its head all the time, and it's not about race, though. It's not, right?
I hope I hope Thomas Sowell's last words on this planet before he ascends to wherever you go is "I told you so."
Mm. Yeah, but I mean, that is the noise of today. I'm just saying it's really, really bad. The rhetoric
Yeah.
being thrown around, it's really, really bad. But here in Japan, of course, we don't really hear anything of that or see anything of that. We don't get actual news here. Where if you turn on the news, you're much more likely to see grandma who just had her 105th birthday on the nighttime news than you are going to see something going on in Ukraine or some other issue. They don't, they just don't cover the news. That's how they that's what they do.
Japan's like, that's going on over there.
Yeah, yeah, we don't need to even know about it. And of course, another interesting aspect of it, you guys are getting hit in America, particularly Europeans as well, but the Americans, you guys are getting hit with this fake, trumped up inflation hardcore, dude. Um,
Oh yeah.
there are tons of companies that are shutting stores all over. Now, some of that is because they're getting out of these cities where they need to. But you're also going to see food shortages and all this stuff. And I'm hearing a lot of news talking about it's been a really wet weather year, and it's caused a lot of crop death. And it's like, really, where, when, really,
All right.
when? Show me where. Because it's
Crop death.
pretty normal
Yeah.
year, really. There's nothing stand out about this year at all so far. But according to the mainstream media, there's been major crop death all over. It's like, really? That's a bit bullshit. But you're getting hit with it.
Very much.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
getting hit with it.
It's
So
ridiculous.
yeah. And then they say meat prices are going up too, and it's like, why? For what
Yeah.
reason? You know. So you're under a full frontal attack, dude. Because none of my stuff up. My inflation isn't anything like that. I got what 3% maybe, maybe. It actually started going down, so I don't even think it's that. So I don't know what to tell you. How come if it's a worldwide problem, why would I not be being affected as well? Especially
Because it's
seeing.
not.
Go ahead.
It's intentional.
No, it is. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, we don't get the supply of food that you get in America. You guys can have food all year round, being brought in from all around the
Yeah.
world. Here in Japan, we eat seasonally. But even with that said, we haven't been impacted. The only thing is we've been impacted with is American goods are not making it here. European stuff's getting here no problem, but the
Yep.
American stuff's dried right up. Of course, that's California doing that. But I'm just saying there's a concerted effort against you guys in America, dude. And you have to ask yourself why. Why are they doing this? Why are they creating a panic in a situation that doesn't actually exist? What's the end goal? Why is California literally not emptying cargo ships and make them sit outside the bay? Why are they doing that? That doesn't make any sense, right? Why should they do that, right? But they are,
Yeah.
right? So what's the reason? Anyway,
And
uh,
all the farms and the food processing plants that had mysterious fires break out.
yeah, and explosions, and a lot of
Yeah.
cow farms being just instantly blown up. It's like, how does a cow farm blow up? Exactly.
10,000 cows die, and they said it was because of the summer heat. And I'm like, wait a minute.
It's what?
Yeah.
It's not even summer yet. But no, there's been a lot of
Oh, that was
nonsense going on.
that was a lie they told last year.
Oh, was it? Yeah. No, but we're seeing a lot of nonsense go up. There's been a whole bunch of dairy farms and stuff get have explosions, and it's like, well, we never had dairy farm explosions before. One, two, how does a dairy farm blow up? Exactly what is so kinetic on a cow farm that it would cause massive explosion that would kill thousands of cows? Where is this explosive exactly?
Good question.
Are they bottling the farts? I mean, what's the deal? It doesn't make any sense,
Mm.
but yet that's the news. And Roger says, yeah, this June the fiat here in the West might be green paper, while the other countries are going back to the national currencies. It's called switching to a central currency. Yeah, no, you're seeing a lot of countries starting to go back to the bullion for sure. We've been off bullion for a very long time. Nixon was the last, the last
Mhm.
bang in
Nail in
that
that
dent,
coffin.
yeah, dent in that. Yeah, he was. So it's been a while, but you are seeing a lot of people go back to bullion, and that's as they should. We should have never got off bullion. You got to keep in mind the past 100 years, a little bit over 100 years, has really been the ugliness. If you go before that, there you didn't have income taxes, you didn't have property taxes, no, at least not like the way we do now. They didn't have death taxes. They did a lot of things they didn't have, right? It's all new. This is all brand new, and it's been coming on us for the past century, basically. And that's a good question of why. Why is that going on? You know, and inadvertently, I think there's a lot of the little conspiracy theorist groups are unlocking some of that information unwittingly. They don't really know what they're looking at, particularly the Tartarian types, those guys who are on that. Because one of the things about autistic people is they're great researchers. I should know.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
they're looking at the weird angle of things. But in reality, what they're unveiling is just this concerted effort over the past century to, well, re-enslave the population is really what they're doing. But it's like, I still see documentaries and specials on the pyramids, right? I still see it.
Hmm.
Of course, they never mention the fact that there are pyramids all over the world. They just talk about Giza mainly, right? And
Yeah.
the Great Pyramid, which is an impressive structure. But they keep going on. How did they put up these theories of how did they move these giant blocks? Rah, rah, rah. You've seen the documentaries, right? You've seen them.
Yeah.
And they come out. I just saw some new series of them come out, and it's like you do realize that what was it 15, 20 years ago? It was quite a while ago. No, I was here, so it was 15, somewhere around 15 years ago. They got permission from the. It was when Hawass was kicked out because Hawass was a corrupt little shit. They wouldn't let anybody investigate anything. And the new antiquities boss for Egypt is not that. He wants to know the truth. He's interested. He's the same kind of guy that's behind, suing Netflix. He's not doing it, but he's
Yeah, I
supporting
see 'em.
for this stupid Cleopatra thing, right? And but anyway, that guy allowed actual science to go on, and we've learned a lot during his time because of that. And one of the things we learned is they finally were able to go and look at those big blocks in the pyramid and take drill samples, core samples out of them. And would you like to
Hmm.
guess what they found?
What did they find?
It's all concrete.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's badass concrete. It's better than we got now, but of course that has a lot to do with money than it does not knowing how to make it. There are some people who actually know how to make really badass concrete, but it's mainly in the artistic world though, which is weird. But no, they drilled into these things, and all across the board, what they found out was that they even found human hair inside some of these core things from the workers pouring it and their hair just getting in there, right? Basically, what they did was they went to the limestone quarries, which we know exist. We know exactly where they are. They took it, they powdered it because limestone is soft. Then they dragged all this and some other, needed materials to the spot, and they poured the damn things on site, and then they break the
Hmm.
mold and do one next to it, and that's why you can't get a freaking credit card between the two of blocks, because they're literally poured right next to each other, just like we would do concrete today, right? So it's all concrete. They didn't drag a damn thing. They didn't have some giant ramp that they're dragging things up. None of that happened. Now, are there some lintel stones and some other things in there that might be real stone? Not probably some, right? Particularly the granite boxes that are sitting with the king's chamber and stuff. But and that, but for as long as it took to build that thing, those things, they can make, if it takes years to get that in place, that's okay, right? Because the process and the kind of concrete they're using is so dense that it would take quite a while for that for that to cure, right? So it's a long process. And now, when you look at the 80-year construction process of that pyramid that is so-called took 80 years to build it, makes a lot of sense. They pour a level all the way around, and they probably took a year off to let it cure, right? So there's plenty of time for the bigger projects to kind of work their way along over the course of a few years, right? But anyway, my point is, we've known this for quite a while, right? We've known this for a very long time. There's teenagers that have YouTube channels talking about this shit. That it's that long, right? That we've known about this, but yet you still have
Yeah,
documentaries coming out. People talking about how did they move the giant stones? They didn't, dumbass.
mm,
I mean,
they made it
it
there.
it kills me because so many people want to go to the aliens did it. Aliens did it. And I'm not going to sit here and say that there aren't aliens, nor am I going to say that we might have been visited by them in the past, maybe many times. I don't know, but it doesn't have anything to do with human ingenuity and capability, right? Those are
Mm.
smart ass people back then, dude. They knew what they were doing, right? But I mean, did you know this?
No, I I've seen there's so many of the ones with the aliens theory because apparently people really like that theory.
Yeah, I get it. I like conspiracy theories too. It's fun, you know.
Um,
But
I'm not against it, but like, yeah, that being concrete, like, yeah, I could see where, yeah, they just made it on site as they went.
they did.
That makes
Yeah.
more sense.
And all of these polygonal or cyclopean stones we see around the world more than likely are exactly the same thing, right? And good on that new antiquities master over in Cairo, in Egypt,
Hmm.
for saying, yeah, let's do the science. Good on him, right? For letting us do that. Because we have the ability to take core samples without destroying it these days, and to be able to scientifically see exactly what's going on. We couldn't do this in the 19th century, right? But we can do it
Yep.
now. We've been locked out of Egypt for so long because of these corrupt bastards trying to make every penny they can, right? I'm happy that the new
Yep.
guy came in, but I was saying that they took all kind of core samples all across multiple pyramids across Egypt. They're still doing it. We've seen all kind of interesting things go on under this new guy, and we're starting to learn exactly what went on. And it's still impressive as hell, but it's also is heartwarming to me because what it does is it shows you it's a very human endeavor. It's humans doing that shit. Because as scream as they might, these modern day Khazars, so-called Jews, who were never in Egypt, by the way, um, trying to demand that the Jews built the pyramids. It's like, yeah, no, dude, they didn't. They didn't even have slavery at that time. That came with the Jews. Shh, don't tell anybody. But
Mm.
well, the Hyksos anyway. This, which isn't the same people that are calling themselves Jews anyway, so I don't know why I have to shush it. But no, that was built by people, citizenry, and people who worked in it, who got paid to do it. It was a community effort, but it was a job, though, right? And all of those pyramids were built in that way, and I imagine the ones around the world were built in very similar ways as well. So you know.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, those amazing cyclopean walls down in South America, those gigantic ones they look almost like it was clay when they put them together because it's the edges are so rounded but so perfect. I think now that we know that a lot of this is just fancy kinds of concrete or cement or whatever you want to call it, um, it actually changes the narrative on that, doesn't it? Because whereas before it was like, oh, it's such high end, science, what amazing technology they had. Well, now what it's showing us is their technique was not as precise as the Egyptians because they were pulling their molds too soon, right?
Yeah.
So it's actually a little bit of ineptness going on in South America instead of superiority, and isn't that interesting how that shifts? But whatever. So how was your weekend?
Pretty good. Cannot complain.
Yeah, did you do anything for Memorial Day?
No, not really. Usually,
Wow.
it's
No
usually
barbecue, no.
nah.
Anybody protesting the existence of America somewhere?
Not around here. They're not.
Well, that's good. That's good. Now you're down in
Yeah.
Florida, right? You said
No, I'm in South Carolina, but
South
pretty
Carolina.
close enough.
Close enough, yeah. Well, now the thing is, the South right now is having actually quite a boom. When we look at all the troubles in America, it's not in the South. The South is actually economically smashing it.
Yeah.
How are things in South Carolina in that regard?
For the most part, it's doing well. I don't want to say. I don't want to say if saying followed what Florida did would be accurate, but I don't know anything else to describe it. Because during COVID, they really didn't have a lockdown. They
Hmm.
allowed businesses to keep open. They allowed businesses to make the choice as to whether, like a lot of restaurants had the option as to whether they wanted to, have people come in or just do takeout. And a lot of people just did takeout and opened the door for DoorDash down here. DoorDash has become pretty popular down here.
Yeah, but
Um,
that is that a good thing though?
um, in some ways, yes, because in a lot of like depending on like where you work, like if you want to get something to eat, you got a half hour. You might be your job might be somewhere like in the county. By the time you get there and back, your fucking break's already over with. Where you could just put in your DoorDash like maybe a half hour before you go to lunch or whatever, and by the time you go to break, they should be pulling up. It's
Why don't
there.
you just
There's
make a
that convenience.
Why don't you just make a box lunch?
Well, that's true too. But you can't do it every day. Sometimes you may not have.
Oh, well, that's what wives
You
are
might have a
for,
busy schedule.
Grimlock.
No, that's true. That is true too.
Yeah.
Don't
But
don't don't say that. The white libs get mad at that one.
well, they get mad all they want. It's a cooperation. But I saw a demographic the other day I thought was very interesting. It said that less people than ever in America, of course, less people than ever are cooking at home. I guess that
Yes.
involves DoorDash or takeout, or they also included microwave meals in that. But less
Yeah, because
people are.
I don't consider I wouldn't consider microwave.
No, it's not. It's not
I
cooking.
wouldn't consider
No,
that.
it's not. But so more people or less people are cooking at home than ever. However, the people who are cooking at home are cooking at a higher level than ever, which was attested to YouTube, which I would agree with.
Yeah,
Even I would say that. That's true for me.
because
But that's an
for
interesting demographic, I think.
well, like like we said before, that 2 year period with COVID was a very interesting time for a lot of people. A lot of people had to sit at home and come to the realizations like, damn, I can't make me a fucking bowl of rice if I wanted rice right now.
Yeah.
Because they don't teach. I mean, they don't teach that in school anymore. Like they don't do like
No home economics
home
anymore.
home ec. And I know some people, they hear home ec and they go, well, they'll make some feminist argument. Fuck, boys need to take home ec. You're a grown ass man and you can't at least cook. I mean,
Well,
you can. I'm not saying you got to be Gordon Ramsay in there, but man, you can't at least fry yourself a chicken leg.
Well, no, that's true.
That's,
And knowing how to sew and how to do laundry and all these things that you need to do as a human. It's not a female thing; it's a human thing.
yeah,
But in that demographic, the overall majority was like 60 some odd percent of the people who were cooking at home were men, actually.
yeah.
So it's actually more men, I would assume, single men
Yeah.
that are
I know
learning
a
to
lot of
cook.
guys.
The girls aren't.
I know, I know a lot of guys who genuinely like to cook.
Yeah,
Like,
so do I.
like
Yeah.
when I was a kid, both of my parents cooked, so like it wasn't weird to me to
Hmm.
like see my dad cook. So, but when I got older, I know guys who like especially down here, like they got a day off where they could go out and grill some shit.
Hmm.
That that's better, that's better than going to the club for them.
Well, no, it is. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And with me, especially now that I'm older, I don't do sport anymore. It's probably the main reason.
Yeah.
But that I'm older, I don't eat anywhere near as much. I don't eat much at all. So, for me to sit down and take time and cook something nice, um, I have the time and the pleasure to do that. Whereas maybe
Yeah.
when I was younger, I just need to throw food down the gullet, right? When
Yep.
I was a sports kid, I played a lot of football and fencing, which I know is a weird combination, but anyway. But I play football a lot, and peanut butter sandwich and tuna fish sandwich every day before practice. You know,
Good
yeah,
light
dude.
snack.
Yeah, put some protein and energy in your body. You ever do any
Yeah.
sports? You're a sports kid?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What was your thing?
Um, Pretty much anything I could get away with. I mean, hell, if anything, now I look back as an older guy and I'm like, damn, I really should have tried hockey when I was a kid. It's like,
Hockey. Yeah, I
I'm,
never. I played hockey a little, but just on the ponds, not in a team. But I'm just not a good skater. You got to be a pretty good skater to play hockey, dude. If you don't have that skill or that, it is limiting sport. Can you skate at all?
that's, it's been a long, long time.
Yeah, me
Like,
too. But I wasn't good back in that time anyway. But of course, I played with my friends baseball and basketball. Pickup games and stuff.
oh
We
yeah.
all did that. But
Um,
I played football with a league. I played with Papa Warner when I was a kid, and all the way up through.
and
And yeah, football was my main sport.
and back in New York, we used to play handball because just to show you, you didn't need money back then. If you had a
No,
brick
no,
wall
yeah.
and $2 to get you a rubber ball from the local from a local corner store, you could have something to do. And we did. We would.
Yeah. Thank the
So
Latinos for that. They gave us that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shit. I mean, I remember that. I remember when hacky sack got
Hmm.
really pop. Doing that was really
I
popular.
used to play hacky sack. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. I
It's
wasn't
like
very good at it, but I played it.
yeah, but it was proof you didn't need a lot of money to have fun.
Yeah, no, for me, I'm weird. I'm not really the most athletic person.
Yeah.
But if it's in a straight line and kill the thing, I'm good at that. Um,
Like I can nail that.
yeah, I'm the defensive linebacker, middle linebacker, right? And
Oh yeah.
my hands are very quick and agile for some reason. So anything that involves that, I'm good at. But I work on my
So
footwork
so
because it's important. But I'm not that agile, really.
so you're saying you would have been a natural pusher thruster in sumo. That's what you're telling me.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. Well, that's where I
Quick
picked up
hand,
my.
straight line. That's that.
All right. Well, I mean, that's where I picked up my nickname. I told you that story before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I wasn't great on the running plays, the passing plays, but coverage plays, but on
Yeah.
the running plays, I was actually fairly good.
Oh
So,
yeah.
just didn't have that foot speed. I think my fastest 100 meters was 11.26 seconds, which isn't horrible really. But there were so many people in the team that were in the low 11s, high 10s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. With those sprint things, the differences of a part of a second are seem to be huge, because if you look back on it, that my best run wasn't actually that bad, but I was always way behind everybody. You know,
Yeah.
so it is interesting how much in that distance, how fractions of a second, how many yards that equals.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like much, but when you
Yeah,
see it
yeah,
play
it's
out in
huge.
motion, it's like, oh shit.
We had a kid that on my team is he was a black kid, but he was a defensive safety. When
Oh,
that you need to be speedy, right? But I
yeah.
think he was running like 10, 10, 10, 15 or something. And I don't know if
Hmm.
he went on to do track in college or something, because if he really focused on that, he might have been a 10 seconder or even sub. Who knows, right? I mean that's potential world level, right? Potentially, you know,
Yeah.
because that's really fast. He was so fast, dude. It's like a damn streak. I know one of the biggest hits I took
Mm.
in my life. Would you like to guess why I took it?
How you take it?
Because I was backing up and I was doing a coverage play, and they had me pull into the outside left, right, to cover
Mm.
in a double coverage. And I saw the cheerleaders on the side, and they were doing the booby squeezes, and I was paying
Oh.
attention to the wrong
Oh yeah.
thing. I got cleated, dude. Absolutely cleated. And
Yeah.
everyone's laughing
That'll
at
get you.
me. Yeah, damn cheerleaders should be illegal.
That's part of the reason they're there.
But I think so. But it was my cheerleaders though. Oh
Oh
well.
damn. So you just couldn't wait.
No, I couldn't. Yeah. The great thing, I don't know about other people's experience, but every team I played on, um, we'd had two buses, right? And usually a
Mm.
van when we go to away games. And
Yeah.
the first bus always had most of the coaches and the offensive team in it. And the second one, there were, of course, a couple of coaches on every bus, the defensive coaches, but special teams and all that stuff was on the first bus. And we'd sit on the back with the defense, and the cheerleaders rode with us.
Hmm.
It's good to be defensive man.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
That it is.
That it is. Anyway, yeah, I actually enjoyed playing football, but it's been forever. So I did play a little bit of rugby as an adult, because the places in the world I was at, they didn't play football; they only played rugby. But yeah, rugby's you got to be fast, play football anyway. But I think that even more so with rugby. It's much closer to soccer than football is, right? And you're in
Yeah.
constant motion all the time, so uh, you know, yeah, it's just different. Anyway, I should get into it here, so let me do so.
Yeah.
I guess we have no Thundero today. I didn't see anything.
He said in the Discord he was gonna come in. I guess he's running. He's running late or something.
No, that's okay. But we'll just go ahead and get into it here. I've killed way more time than I should have. First, a little bit of news we got here. Of course, Tina Turner has passed
Yes.
away. 80,
Yes. He,
yes, yeah, 83 years old. Of course, she always looked 50, even when she was young. So it's, she didn't change much during her life. I think all the way up into her 60s, she looked identical, right? But
yeah.
she started looking a little bit older here recently. But 83 years old. Uh, you know, uh, uh, Pretty amazing. Good long life, good for her. And
That's a good. That's a great picture for that
Yeah,
they
no, it's a
picked.
great age, no problem at all. She was in
Cause
Kuznach, Zurich, Switzerland, where she died. It's interesting.
yep.
She lives in Switzerland. I didn't know this.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't,
she left the United States quite a while ago.
huh? I didn't really haven't paid attention to her life, although even though she is an American, I'm pretty sure she's an American. She's always kind of had a European feel about her, though, hasn't she?
Well, it's weird because when I was a kid, I was around 4 or 5 when her comeback was. She successfully made her comeback, and she was probably bigger than she had ever been up until that point. And like one of those things is like, the sound, that's it's your childhood. It's like, yeah, that was my childhood. Like my mom,
Hmm.
I think it was like the Barcelona concert. She had that on VHS, and she would just at least once a week she would play it, and it's if anybody has never seen one of those Tina Turner concerts, if you want, to all these young people, you want to know what talent is, go turn on a Tina Turner concert.
Oh yeah. No, Tina was
Because
great. Yeah.
for 2.5 hours, she would just go.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, that's true. I was just looking to see here if they gave us a little about her early life because she always felt European to me anyway. And maybe she
yeah.
is. I don't know. Maybe she's not born in America. I know she married an American for a
No,
time
she was
there.
born in, I believe she was born in Natbush, Tennessee.
Oh, well, okay, there you go. But she never felt American to me, though. And but nevertheless, that doesn't mean anything. But she was, she was a really solid singer. Of course, a lot of people are throwing accolades on her. There's lots of great singers. But I think everyone liked Tina because I don't know, she felt a little bit more like ours, right? Whitney never felt like she's yours, right? That's Whitney Houston, right? But Tina always felt
Well,
like she was one of you, right?
well, the thing is, like, Tina could give you a little bit of everything.
Yeah, yeah.
She could give you that rock song. She could give you those ballads. She could get out there. She could give you those dance songs. And
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
I was I went back because I hadn't listened to it in a while, but I remember when it first came out, when she did the theme for GoldenEye,
Hmm. Yeah.
and just how much I actually liked that theme. And then looking at that video, I'm like, damn, she was looking fine as hell in that silver dress. I'm like,
Well,
damn,
that's a
man,
matter
I
of
didn't.
opinion. Um,
I like it.
that's
I'll say
fine.
that
Yeah.
I liked her in that
She
dress.
she did have a certain well, she was certainly had a beautiful body. I mean, let's not play around. She had a dancer's
Yeah.
body. But she's from for me, she's not an attractive woman. But she did have a certain sexuality to her, a weird one. But it worked for her. And the lady was, like James Brown level of hard worker, right? I mean, plain and
Oh yeah.
simple. And she had a lot of great fun tunes. You're right, she was quite eclectic. Now, this headline, though, Tina Turner, electrifying entertainer. I agree so far. Dies at 83. All true. Feminist hero? Really?
I love how they love throwing that tag out there, because you know who used to be a feminist hero? Roseanne.
Yeah. Well,
Until Roseanne started doing the unapproved shit, and then all of a sudden Roseanne became a Nazi.
so yeah,
So
no,
it's
right?
like,
But does feminist hero
yeah,
simply mean female and successful? Is that what that means, I guess?
no, I guess I guess makes her a feminist hero in these delusional people's mind is how she handled leaving Ike.
Well, that she was a survivor of domestic
And
abuse, that makes her a feminist hero.
yeah,
Oh, okay. All
I,
righty.
I, I guess because look, and she did the absolute right thing, because holy shit,
Oh, he was a jackass. No, good for her.
yeah,
And of course, most people don't even know who Ike Turner is outside of that, but everyone knows who Tina Turner is, right?
yeah,
So it
and I
was,
mean,
yes.
well, unfortunately for Ike, it tarnished what would have been an otherwise pretty good legacy of his own, because he was very talented in his own right, but
Oh yeah.
you'll never really be able to say, you'll never really be able to say Ike Turner in a positive light in anything,
Well,
because
no, you're
his
right.
his stupidity so overshadowed.
Well, he's an absolute
all of what he
jackass.
did
I
before.
mean, yeah, no, because we're
Yeah.
we're not talking about a couple little marital spats here and someone losing their temper
Oh,
and slapping.
yeah.
No, 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 no. He like ripped clumps of hair out, and it was bad, dude. Yeah, it was really, really
Yeah.
bad. And it sucks because no one should have to live through that. Of course, the
Yeah.
simple fact of the matter is the domestic abuse around the world is basically a 50-50 scenario. It's actually the women are
Yeah.
a little bit higher. It's like 52, 53% of all domestic abusers are female, not male. But it's basically
Yeah.
equal.
I mean,
But I mean, so if that's true,
but
then all the
he was. I think it's because he was such an extreme case.
no, he was bad.
Because
Yeah, he was really bad. And good on her for getting away, and she had a great career, and she's beloved. Tina is absolutely
yeah,
beloved. And the reason why she's beloved, Hollywood Reporter, is because she wasn't a noisy, nasty feminist.
no,
She wasn't. And I'm sure you saved that for after she was dead because she'd probably get pissed at you for saying it, right? She
yeah,
was not
because
annoying at all.
she liked men.
She
She
did.
was not the least bit shy. In fact, I was listening to one of the her songs. It's called "Typical Male," but it's really her talking about wanting to get affection and reaction out of a typical male, and it's a good song, and also even though he's not credited on it, the fact that Phil Collins was playing drums on that song is
Yeah.
like extra for me. It's like because the '80s was one of those periods where artists would just get together and like they wouldn't like they wouldn't I guess they wouldn't make a big deal about featuring on a track. They would just come in and do it.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, of course, back in those days, they all worked together because it was fun. It isn't
Yeah.
like it is today. Oh, Phil Collins, you couldn't get away from him in the '80s. He was everywhere. He was the king of everything, even though he was your dumpy
Oh yeah.
uncle who had the baseball card collection. I never understood Phil
Oh yeah.
Collins. Yeah, it's weird. But actually,
Talent. It's one of those things where when you're such a phenomenal talent,
hmm
people can over forget because he's like you said he looks like one of us. He's short, kind of balding.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
ridiculous.
he looks like he should be working at your local butcher
Right.
shop, but
Modest to
you
the
know,
end. Yeah, he never
yeah,
got it. When he got one of some of the famous stories about Phil Collins is when he started, getting actual money, he would end up going to meetings and places at fancy restaurants and fancy places, and he'd show up and they're like, "Sir, you need a suit and tie." And a couple of his songs came out of that whole experience. He's like, "What do you mean? This
yep,
is my brand new leather jacket. I love it." No,
yep.
sir. Suit and tie, sir. Yeah, Phil is an interesting little bit of a conundrum, really. But
And one of
yeah,
my favorite performances of his is when he teamed up with Ozzy of all
really,
people
I
to
didn't know
play.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did a live performance. It was Ozzy, Tony Iommi, and Phil Collins on drums playing Paranoid. It's great performance.
Jesus, dude, what a what a great
Yeah,
combination. I understand
yeah,
that Sharon, because her daddy was a big mogul in the music industry, and she
yep,
wanted to get him away from Black Sabbath because she saw or could make him into something international by himself, and that's all Sharon Osbourne's doing. However, it was I don't know he because Ozzy was just a glutton for gifts, right? I mean, he had Randy Rhodes. I mean, come on. He had Zach Wild. I mean, come on, right?
yeah.
Um, uh,
Zach came back.
yeah, but I mean,
Um,
but Tony Iommi not only is in the same category of amazing guitar player, but he is the hit maker.
yeah,
That guy, the amount of badass rock and roll riffs that guy's created is insane. Tony Iommi, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves either.
yeah,
Yeah. But anyway, music. Tina, ma'am, safe journey.
yes.
You had a good long life though, ma'am, and you are known and loved. So,
And, and one last thing, I was thinking about it. I would have loved this if this would have happened. a track with Tina Turner and Eddie Money on it.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been a bad
That would have been
combination at all.
great.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I never met Tina or anything like that, but I did do some background tracks on a Shaka Khan album. And
nice.
Shaka is different genre, different, but I always kind of got the similar vibe off of her, off of the two of them. It's very European. I don't even know if Shaka's European, but I always had
No,
that
she's
feeling.
from Chicago, and she kind of a lot. It's not discussed as much as with Shaka, but she kind of came from a similar abusive relationship because her she was married pretty young, like real young,
Oh wow, yeah. I don't
and
know.
her husband was
I
an ass. Her first husband was an ass.
Well, I actually saw her in the studio, right? I didn't talk to her or anything like that, but I saw her at a distance. I never, I cut backing tracks for like Sting and some other big names, but I never met him, right? I saw
Yeah,
Sting walking down a hallway once.
nice.
Yeah, that's about it. The only one that actually came into the studio and chatted with us and was a really nice guy, I can never remember his name. It was back when hip hop rap music was fun in the 80s. He is a black fella, but you know that guy. Um, what's his name?
Morris Day.
Morris Day. Yeah, there he is. Why do I not never remember his name? Anyway, I should never remember that guy's name. He was really cool. He actually was came in, chatted with us, and he didn't have to. We're just the studio musicians. We're not important. But he came and chatted with us.
I, I I think he understands that because he started. He was part of that big Minnesota group that came in with Prince. So I think he understood that.
Yeah, maybe. But there's only him and I remember meeting Dizzy Gillespie and Wayne Andre and I met Miles Davis, but he
Nice.
was a dickhead. Um,
Yeah, I remember.
yeah, that
I could
sucked.
I could imagine.
Yeah. Although he's amazing though. I ain't gonna take nothing away from Miles though. But yeah, no, it was fun. Even though I didn't meet most of the people I did background tracks for, because I was just part of the studio band, right? It still was exciting though. You know,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. And it's surprising how many you might not realize this, but a lot of those kind of pop, especially black pop singers of the 80s, a lot of them had like instrumental backgrounds on their tracks that you might not even noticed, right? Like
Yep.
there were a whole bunch of those kind of they weren't rap, but they were closely associated to hip hop, right? The pop singers, black pop singers. I did
Mhm.
cuts on a lot of those albums, dude. So,
Life of a session musician.
yeah, well, right. I mean, that we did the
Interesting, very interesting lives.
yeah, well, the funny thing about that is because usually in a room, and there's like depending on what studio is at, but you could have up to around 20 of us, right? But
Yep.
not every track would have everybody on it, right? But and some of the smaller studio, well, I don't know if they're smaller studios. They just had smaller session bands. Yeah, I think the smallest one I was in was like maybe 9 or 11, something like that. Because they need you to produce all kinds of different sounds. Sometimes you need a little bit of that big band feel, right? So you need a bigger band.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing that, and of course, being in New York and part of the federation, I got to do a lot of bar mitzvahs. I'll leave that hang in there. But anyway, Tina, safe journeys, ma'am. Anyway, let's get into it. You ready? Here we
Oh
go.
yeah.
You're the reader.
The Walt Disney Company reportedly silencing Disney legends by duping them with the promise of work on new projects.
Right?
They just can't help themselves.
They can. They've done this before and got in trouble for it before. And but they're doing it again. Basically, what they do is this, and I don't think Disney's the only culprit. To be honest with you, they're being plucked out here, but I don't think it's only Disney. What they'll do is they'll get because Disney's under controversy. So when these studios get under controversy, they try to tighten the ship, right? And Walt Disney is under extreme pressure, right, from multiple sides.
Hmm.
So what they're doing is they're going out and getting a lot of these famous people that have worked with Disney over the years, the older actors, big names, right? And they go and say, "Hey, we want to do a project with you." They'll pay them money, and they pay them money every year. It's almost like a salary job in a way. It's like the legend thing in WWE, right? It's very similar. But what they're doing is because they have this contract, which doesn't go anywhere. They don't actually produce anything with them. And they have no intentions of doing it. The only reason they do that is to get you to sign an NDA, so you can't speak at all, right? But in the end, you're also getting money out of it, so I don't know that it's such a bad thing. But this is the kind of sneaky tactics that these companies get up to, and Disney, of course, is front and center right now, and they're doing quite a bit of it. So not only are they bleeding money everywhere, they're also bleeding money just to keep people from talking smack about them. I mean, crazy,
Yeah,
right?
nobody should be surprised by this. I
No,
mean,
no.
right
Uh,
now, there's nothing that Disney has done that has drawn them any kind of positive press. So paying people to keep quiet should not be a surprise right now for them.
No, I don't think anybody should be surprised, and especially because they keep getting hammered. The Little Mermaid is not tracking well at all. And who's should anybody be surprised by that? No. The Indiana Jones thing coming out of Lucasfilm is getting a lot of flack because I mean, and I really don't. I understand that they have their agenda. I get it, but it's frickin' Indiana Jones, dude. And they literally created a movie where there's this woman, this that keeps showing up, this horrible feminist woman that keeps showing up in movies. And the whole movie, she's chastising him for being a man, to the extreme point that she literally has to knock Indy out to save the world because toxic male. I mean, wow, dude, they went there. They went there because I don't think the Little Mermaid, other than race swapping and a few other girl power things, and Eric not being as important as he's supposed to, which is weird. It's not this epic woke craziness going on with Little Mermaid. It's like half 50% woke, but Indiana Jones, dude, they went full woke, dude. Like, are you kidding me?
Well, well, they everybody. I wasn't too familiar with this Phoebe Waller-Bridge woman until they started talking about her, and the more and more I've heard about her, it's pretty much she's one of those people like if she shows up, you know exactly what she's there for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's a
Like
feminist wrestler.
everybody knows her gimmick,
Yeah, it's like Amy Schumer.
and she might be even worse.
No, she is worse, but it's the same thing, same kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
that little girl there that from the Twilight series, she's turned into that. The director of Charlie's Angels, a whole bunch of failed stuff. She's like that. There's a ton of them, right? They just they're all about their feminism. But I mean, and I get their agenda. I don't agree with it, but I understand what they're doing. But Indiana
Mm.
Jones of all movies to go full woke.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
stupid, dude.
because
People love Indiana, right?
still a male protagonist.
Yeah,
They're
but
not again. This
that's
is
a
about
yeah,
scalp collecting. This is they don't care. As I said, I've said it before. This is about collecting scalps.
yeah,
They're not even. It's it's not about even doing making a feminist. It's basically, hey, this thing you like, it's ours now.
yeah. And that is what you're right. And we've been talking about that from the beginning. I have too. But it's just that's a big bite, and they think they got backlash for what they did with Luke Skywalker. Dude, watch out, right?
Oh yeah,
Because
it's gonna be the backlash is gonna be big for
yeah,
this because he's considered an iconic character. He's one of those.
Beloved.
I don't
Yes,
know if I would. I don't know if I would call him a sacred cow, but he's a character that
I
if you
would.
fuck with him, it's gonna be a problem.
Yep.
And nobody, and it's bad enough because nobody wanted this movie anyway. They
No,
didn't like the last Indiana. A
we
lot of
didn't
people
want
didn't
that
like the
either.
last Indiana,
Yeah. We had a perfect three
and
movies. What do we need another one for?
well, because they got to keep the naming rights, and they got to keep milking. They got to keep milking the franchise.
I guess.
So you know,
Well, you know what they
you
could have
can't
done
you can't
after.
you can't milk it if you can't keep putting it out.
Well, no, if they really want to do the female thing, why didn't you have it that Miriam and, of course, it doesn't make sense for her age, but Hollywood doesn't care about that shit. They settled down, they had themselves a daughter. There we go. She's got a daughter
You know,
to go because Shia LaBeouf is shit, so that's out. But they have themselves a daughter, and she's following. And Dad's retired, and he's an old professor, and maybe he has a cameo where he gives some advice to her, but she's out doing her adventures. Now you have, w- you know, Bindi Jones, whatever you call her, out in the
you,
wild.
you
Sorry, I could. It's
you
Steve Irwin joke. Just go with it. Um,
Yeah, I mean, you could do that, but see, that doesn't get you the scalp. See, that's the whole thing. Like,
yeah, I
yeah,
know.
you could have. I mean, for fuck's sake, even Night Court did that with their reboot, where it's the daughter of
Yeah, but
Harry.
no
I'm
one
like,
wants
I
that.
was fine with that.
Yeah, but no one
I
wants
mean,
that
nobody's
shit.
asking for it.
We
Nobody asked for it, but it at least in concept, because at least when I watched the first two episodes of it, she wasn't shitting on her dad. She was she spoke in high reverence of him. This
yeah,
is not about. They would never do that with Indiana Jones because they don't want to speak about him in high. Even if they had his daughter, you know, girl, whatever his daughter would be. No, it's about taking. It's about taking this scalp. It's about getting in front of all the men in there. Oh, this guy this hero of yours, he's ours now, and we're gonna emasculate him. We're gonna make him look completely stupid and useless, and we're gonna replace him with somebody that's better just because she's a woman, not because she's done anything particularly amazing, just because she's a woman.
yeah, no, no. And that's the same thing with Night Court. I don't care if it's good and she was nice. She was, but they made it Harry's daughter because it has to be a female. That's the whole.
Yeah,
That's the whole reason they did it. Why couldn't it have been his son? Right? And
yeah,
normally in the past we wouldn't even blink at it because okay, you're telling a story. But these days we know there's agenda behind it. Like for instance, I just finally was able to watch because it wasn't available until just a few days ago. I finally watched John Wick 4, right?
hmm
And just I'm not going to give spoilers, but I love the movie, and then at the very very end they ruined the entire thing. And the reason they ruined it is because there are a bunch of morons that think that their movie is more than a popcorn adventure fun. That's why they were getting philosophical about it, and they thought their movie actually had meaning. Dumbass, you have no clue what fandom means, right? Because simple fact of the matter is nobody in this is really good. They're all assassins, right? But the whole thing
yeah,
is we love John Wick, right? That's who we love. We love John Wick, and therefore what we want is John Wick to win. And how does John Wick win? He goes home. That's how John wins, right? And they failed. They failed completely, right? And like I said, I enjoyed it. Matter of fact, I consider it's probably one of the better ones, right? But at the very, very end, they ruined it. They radically ruined it, and for stupid reasons, right? And I'm hearing about spin-offs to John Wick, right? Because that was the end. That was the
yeah,
finale, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Now we know we're getting this like a mini series of the Continental, how Winston became in charge of the Continental. Great idea, right?
yeah,
But they're also talking about two spin-offs, and both of them are involving girls. One of them you don't even know, right? The other
Hmm.
one is the girl from the fourth one here, Akira. So you're taking this girl who is the worst actor, the worst movement person. She literally looks sickly and pale and sickly, right? And not attractive, right? So she doesn't have any charisma whatsoever. But yet you're going to do spin off with her. Why? Why would you do that? She's literally the least likable side character in the entire run
Maybe they
because
recast her.
well, even if they do that, but it's just simply because female, right? There's
Yeah.
I just mentioned two females that they're looking into a spinoff. Why? It's one of the few male central centric things we have. We don't have much. What do we got? We got John Wick and we got the Fast and Furious thing. What else we got? I can't. You got anything? You got anything? Nothing,
No.
right? So, but of course, immediately they're going to take that away from you immediately, right? And of course, she is going to be way better than he ever was. Of course, you know how they are, right?
Yeah.
Dumbass shit. And the thing that's sad about it is there's been several characters, side characters along the way. I wouldn't mind seeing their story. The guy in the second one, I think does he live? The black guy who's chasing John. I know John leaves him like with a femoral artery attack in the subway. I don't, does he survive it? I can't remember. But I wouldn't mind seeing more about that fella, right? Haley
Hmm.
Berry stepped the fuck up in the last one, dude. She
Yep.
did. Good on her. Because we don't see a lot of these girls put in the work ethic. We don't. Because one thing I'll tell you, we all know Keanu works hard to do the action. You go watch this fourth one, Keanu worked his ass off, dude. He worked and he's my age. He must have been black and blue and sore for weeks, dude. Weeks. But he worked so hard to make all that movement smooth. Good on John. But Halle Berry stepped up too. And I wouldn't, and there's another character. I wouldn't mind seeing a spinoff with, she's getting a bit old, but I mean, she's still hot. But I wouldn't mind seeing a Halle Berry spinoff. Would you?
No.
I mean, yeah, I mean, because she earned it. She earned it, right? And in this one, there's a black fella. It's just called Nobody, Mr. Nobody. But he's got a dog with him as well. I wouldn't mind seeing a spinoff with him. He was an interesting character. But no, we're getting some girl we've never heard of. We don't even really know. I think she was just some side background character in one of the movies. I can't even place her in my head. And this Akira girl. And she's awful. God, she's god awful, dude. She was the worst part of the movie. But yet we're going to get a spinoff for her. Why? I'm not interested in her at all. I don't give a shit about her at all, dude. So, but anyway, just as an example, that they can't not fuck it up. They
Yeah.
can't. So
Can't help themselves.
they can't help themselves. And this kind of nonsense, of course, Disney is doing it. Of course, they're paying people off or bribing people or blackmailing them or tricking them. Duping is the word they use in this article into NDAs and stuff to shut everybody up. Of course they are. Of course they are. But just think about the slate of failures that Disney and other companies have had. We have two movies coming out here with them, with the Little Mermaid movie and the Indiana Jones that are going to flop hardcore. And it's just another loss of millions and millions of dollars that they've been doing over the past so many years. And that's not even talking about their billions that they've lost off of, just stock and Disney Plus and things like that. And they're not alone. We're seeing a lot of it. The whole Target debacle. And the thing is funny for me is, Anheuser-Busch with their Bud Light thing. Yeah, it was dumb. That's not your demographic, dude. What are you doing? Right? It was dumb. But, and I know people are so angry and seething they can't actually see it, but at least Dylan was trying to be funny, right? At least he was trying to do a comedic bit, at least, right? But the Target thing, are you kidding me, dude? You've kept up with it, what's going on with Target, have you?
Well, yeah.
I mean,
It was idiotic.
dude, you literally have tuck bathing suits for 2-year-olds. Someone needs to get their head slapped several times, dude. Are you out of your mind? This isn't some little New York boutique where you got a bunch of ladies who every child they have is non-binary, because of course they are, right? This is your everyday average blue collar, modern Walmart, right? Is what it is. And you're going to, oh my God, it's so bad. It's way more insidious than what Anheuser-Busch did. Way more. I mean, am I wrong?
I I think they both have bad intentions
Yeah.
because there's no way they can say that they don't know who their audience is. They know.
Yeah, that's fair.
And,
I just think Target is worse because Target
well,
brought Satanism into it. Dylan's not a Satanist.
no, but I would say many people don't look at him for what he is pretty high because they don't see what he's doing as comedy.
Yeah,
They
they
don't
did.
find it to
Yeah,
be funny at all.
no, I get
And I
that.
don't
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, he's
and I
not
don't
necessarily.
disagree with them.
Yeah. No,
Um,
he's not the best comedian is the problem. And like I said, I got a little touch of sympathy, not sympathy, of compassion for Dylan, because I really think he was just doing his shtick. Because you got to keep in mind, gay guys don't really like women. They tend to knock on him a lot, and that's what he was doing. He was knocking on women, right? And he got in over his head, and it was either back it up and go away, or double down and take the money, and that's what he chose to do. But he's in deep now. You
yeah,
know, it's
be careful.
obvious. It's obvious what the Dylan was doing. And I'm not apologizing for it. It is what it is. I'm just saying what Target did is way more insidious, dude. And I hope
Yeah,
they burn. I really hope they burn. I mean, these huge multi-billion-dollar hits that these companies are taking, I want to see all of them get hit. I want to see every one of them get hit, and I hope that the people keep it up, because June is about to hit here, and it's going to be hog wild, right?
yep,
Yeah, finally, years after of this nonsense, we'll get some pushback. Because the thing is, I have no problem with gays. I don't care what they do. You go live your life. And if some company wants to cater to them, sure, man. If you think you can make money, have at it. Right. But it's gone beyond the gays, and it's become something that's very broken. Right. And it's specifically attacking children. And you're way past the pale now. It's a complete
yes,
different thing, right? Like drag queens, who some Orthodox people, Christians, and stuff like that would certainly have a problem with a drag queen. But I've been to several drag queen shows in my life. They're hilarious. But you know what they are?
yeah,
They're adult entertainment, is what they
yes,
are, right?
yeah.
Because it's sexual by its very nature, and that's the thing of these people that they don't maybe they do get it. I don't know, but they don't understand that these whole conversations, transgenderism, drag queen, these are sexual conversations. They're sexual things. They're not just this. Oh, hey, I like Twinkies, or I enjoy puppet theater play. It's not lifestyle. These are
No.
sexual conversations, specifically sexual conversations. And you leave the kids out of it, dude.
Well, when you make your entire personality your sexuality, you can't, and that's the problem.
I suppose.
See, um, again, it has become so. I guess perverse is the right way to say it.
Debauched.
Um, that too.
Hmm.
From what it is, it's like, look, you can have aspects to your life, right? Like you're a musician, but that's not all of what you are.
No, there's many things to
That's
life.
just that is just your one aspect of your life. You
Well,
can be gay and that not be all that you are. That's just part of what you are, but somewhere these people became convinced that's all of what they are. And that's one of the reasons why they have this thing about. I think anyway, that they have this need to tell the whole world that they're gay, in spite of the fact that 97% of the world does not care, doesn't
No,
care,
no, no, they don't. And a lot of
and
these kids, especially with transgenderism, are being sold a bag of bullshit because
yes,
a lot of you are seeing a higher and higher percentage of them actually get bottom surgery, actually get it, right?
hmm
And the simple fact of the matter is, and I don't think anyone was telling this, when you get that bottom surgery, your sex life is done. It's done.
hmm
You will never experience orgasm again, ever. And it
I
doesn't
believe.
that defeat the purpose?
Um, yes, but you have to.
I'm
It's
waiting.
funny because these people don't. Well, the whole argument that they have is flawed because they're saying that these adolescent people, because that's what they are,
Yeah.
in a period in their life where they're the most unstable, because that's what it is, because your body and mind is going through such a change,
Hmm.
and you're not gonna. There's never a point where you're more hormonal or emotionally unstable
Well, unless
as
you're a
through
black
your
lady at a Waffle
adolescence.
House, but continue.
Oh no, even more so than that.
That was a little
Because
bit funny,
think,
though. It was a little bit funny.
think about it. Think about the whole stereotype of you know you have a baby, it's cute, then it learns how to talk, then it becomes a child, and then what they say, they become monsters. Why do they say that? Because they're unstable.
Yeah, the
Teenagers are
puberty age.
unstable.
Yeah, that's true.
Go back and think about yourself during your teenage years and go, God damn, I
Uh,
said and did some stupid shit
that's why you put him in
because
sports.
you was unstable. You was going through these changes, and
Hmm.
unstable people are easily to manipulate. That's why they keep going for them. That's why
It's true.
that part isn't hard
No,
because these kids don't understand. Even then, yeah, your brain is more developed than a 5-year old, but you still don't seem to understand this is permanent.
yeah, no,
You
it's
know,
serious and it's ugly. No, you're right. Well, we've been talking about this for quite a while, Grimlock, and about all this stuff, and what could possibly cow it? What could possibly, curb this enthusiasm they have for this agenda? And I think I might have found something. There might be an actual
letting Thundaro smite them.
what? Oh, did he show up finally? Do we have Briscoe with us? That's nice.
Briscoe.
Um,
This this guy.
but that's good. I think, guys, I might have found a chink in the armor. I think I found it. There's a chink, and it is
you, you,
dinging. Yeah, here we
you know
go.
what? Since you're gonna do that, we need a picture of Briscoe in a Norse armor.
Yeah, that would be good. We need that. I'll get one of the artists on it.
I like this. The Little Mermaid. Chinese state-run media warns Disney to stop pushing racism narrative around fairy tales, or they will lose their quote magic glory.
Mm. Now,
Do they mean Disney will lose their magic glory, or the fairy tales?
I'm just laughing that actual racist people are telling these people to stop being
I know,
racist.
Yeah,
I know,
yeah.
but I think
Probably the most racist country on the planet besides Israel, and it's a close competition. And they're even like
Oh
Disney,
shit!
chill.
dude. Yeah, but here's the thing. We know how desperate these American corporations are for Chinese money, right? Because it's free. The Chinese economy is not real. It's literally a paper tiger. They just print it
Yeah,
continuously, worse than
yeah.
any other country. It's an absolute disaster in reality. But that doesn't mean anything. It is being traded internationally. They prop up the value of it, so it has value. So if they can grab this free money while they can, they will. And if the Chinese state is saying, Disney, we're gonna stop allowing you to drop stuff in China, that might back them up, dude. This could be an actual chink in the armor. The Chinese state actually, because we know they don't like this shit. They especially don't like that right there.
Yeah.
Right? They don't like that. So what do you guys think? You think this is a threat from the Chinese state, dude? I mean,
that's why my question was, because it sounds like, it reads like a threat.
It is.
Like this is an out and out overt threat that if you don't knock it off, there's be serious consequences from them. And they couched it in like they're talking about, metaphor or something, but this is China. That doesn't exist. If it sounds like a threat from China, it's a threat. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's very weird because they can't edit around this, right? Blacking up Ariel. They can't edit around that like they tried to do as much as possible with the Star Wars movies.
They did, though. The poster for China, they have a blue light coming from below, and she looks blue.
That's hilarious.
They did, though. Yeah, they were able to get rid of the blackness. They blue washed her. See, now there's a solution. Okay, so you want to make some stuff, right? And you want it to be representative of all races. Why can't a person just be blue then? Ain't nobody blue. There you go.
Like
Papa Smurf.
Yeah, like Avatar. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
That was basically it's a brilliant way of getting around it, because now it's a caricature. It's not real. It doesn't look like a real person, so anybody can relate to it, right? And at least you would think that's how their mind would work. But the reality is their whole argument, and what China's obviously talking about here, the whole thing is nonsense, and everybody knows it.
Yep.
It's all BS. Yep. But a bunch of wine moms and actual racists all either fall for it or promote it because they hate white people. Because that's really all it is. They just hate white people.
To be fair, the whole height liberal Karen is the problem. It is the problem.
Well, I was just thinking about this, and I could be wrong, but considering the 2 out of the last 4 movies that Disney has sent over to China has had black leads. So I'm thinking, they had Wakanda Forever, then Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Didn't do well.
Then they had Guardians.
Didn't do well. She's a little thing, huh?
Guardians, and now this. And okay, so basically, 2 of your last 4 movies had black leads in a country known for not liking black people. Because the comment boards, I didn't see the one for Wakanda Forever, but that first Black Panther movie, holy shit. These edgelords over here on Reddit who think they're fucking edgy, they could learn some shit about racism from those Chinese fucking boards. Because holy shit, did they not hold back. And I'm pretty sure the comment boards for this movie is probably fucking hilarious.
Well, I see that they airbrushed her gut here because this girl's a bit dumpy, if you haven't noticed.
Yes.
Oh, and and also you just sent them yet another movie with fucking Awkwafina in it, and the Chinese just love Awkwafina.
I don't know anybody who likes Awkwafina. Bro, I was on Twitter, and the biggest complaint that I saw about the movie, besides the fact that it looks like it sucks, is Awkwafina.
Yeah, did you hear that rap? Did you hear it?
Oh, I heard it.
Oh,
call it a rap.
Yes.
Wow, dude, it's really bad, and it's overtly sexual too. It's like, hello, Disney, this is a kid show. Disney, hello, because she's basically insinuating getting some a little bit of that nighttime clap going on. That's
which is funny because which is even worse because Scuttle was, if I'm not mistaken, was originally a dude in the animated movie.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. I saw it like once, so I don't remember. I know
I did
Disney though. I know
way when I was a kid, but I remember. I'm pretty sure Scuttle was a dude.
Scuttle was a dude. I was literally just talking to the wife about that in here. Yeah, Scuttle was a dude. I don't know why they decided it needed to be a dumpy Asian chick with no talent, but they did. And they changed the type of bird, too. I don't know what originally it was, but they changed him to something else. And
wasn't he like a seagull?
I can't remember. But my
Yeah, I
wife,
think it was a
said he was a
seagull.
seagull. Yeah. But regardless, for some reason they changed him and they made Sebastian.
Oh,
They made
sorry.
Sebastian into a crab instead of a lobster, which is odd. But it's just weird stuff like that. And then the Aquafina thing, man, is she bad?
Well,
Like everything she's in Renfield too, and she's terrible in that. I've never
She
seen a
is-
performance from her that matters or is anything other than terrible ever.
Well, and
It's white women. They find her funny.
well, the thing is,
And-
she's never been funny. She's a YouTube kid,
Mm.
right? She's never
Yep.
been funny. She's this dumpy, not funny thing. But she's extreme hardcore feminist. She is
Oh,
always
she's-
saying nasty, nasty things. But you're right. Go ahead.
She's more than a YouTuber because she has a Comedy Central show that they pushed to the fucking moon, like it was supposed to be the funniest shit in the world, and she is
Yeah.
not fucking funny.
She's not. And
Just like
everything
Blood
she
City
does-
wasn't fucking funny.
Yeah, and she fails at it. They keep doing this over and over and over again, but because they insist that ladies are funny, and there are examples of them, but Amy Schumer isn't one of them. I mean,
No.
can you believe that top 10 list didn't have Carol Burnett on it?
No Carol Burnett.
No
Norm
Mom
Macdonald? Are you kidding me?
No Norm Macdonald. But somehow, no. By the way, unless it's changed, I think it's changed recently. But for a very long time, the most successful actual comedian was Jeff Foxworthy.
Oh God, yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
by a long shot too.
That was a
Yeah,
dumb list.
not even close.
Like it.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, like how much money Jeff was pulling in, and that was before he even did the blue collar tours.
Right. The Blue Collar Tours was kind of like a wind down from his huge run.
Well,
for him.
Yeah.
you know you're a redneck when.
Hey,
That's the thing, see?
I loved it. I loved his show back in the '90s when he was on ABC.
Yep.
Well, that was great
Yep.
fun. Yeah.
Old
Are
Jeffy
you
boy.
smarter than a fifth grader? Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did that too, and unfortunately, he showed us we was in trouble then. That show should have been the warning.
Well, no.
Well,
They
it's funny, though,
intentionally picked
because-
dumb people. Let's be fair.
Yes. It's funny though, because Foxworthy made a whole career, and a lot of these comedians did, especially on that Blue Collar Tour, made a whole career of basically just making fun of white people.
Well,
Yeah.
why not?
And yet somehow we're supposed to believe that America is evil and racist when the most successful comedian of most of my life, I think it's changed recently. I think one of the newer ones have jumped above him. But up until recently was a white guy talking in a very deep Southern accent, making fun of other rednecks.
Yeah, because
Uh-huh.
he's one of them, so he can. But I mean, it's
Yeah.
like Richard Pryor, Dave Chappelle, especially his initial run. Their whole shtick was making fun of black people, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're picking
That's
on
right.
what they are, and they were very successful for it. Particularly Richard. I mean, his most famous skit was Mudbone,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he banged on, and Dave Chappelle got himself in trouble. He went a little bit too far, I guess, because Oprah got mad at him because he was picking
Well,
on the black people.
Oprah has always been in the pocket of white liberals, and I wish people would fucking understand that. She has never. Anybody who paints Oprah as pro-black has no idea what being pro-black is, 'cause that bitch has never been that. She's made her
No, well.
entire fucking career burying black men, and people should have saw through that bitch when she used to say, "Oh, Michael Jackson's my friend," and did a fucking documentary when the man's dead and can't defend himself,
Mhm.
burying him.
Yeah. Well,
Bitch,
she
please.
made a mediocre movie about slavery. You see,
Oh yeah, and they're remaking that movie with that chick.
dude, they're remaking.
Just get ready for that shit.
Yeah, well, they're
remaking
remaking.
The
This
Color
light skinned
Purple
girl
with
is going to be in
her.
The Color Purple. What?
Yes. It's already. They showed the trailer, and if I'm not mistaken, they already showed the trailers for that movie
Wow.
at the premiere of this shit.
Well, dude, I don't know. We need to bring High Yellow back. That's what we need to do. We need to bring High Yellow back. I'm calling it right now. And of course,
So
this is her
you're saying I
video
need to
with
get you need.
my
so you're saying I need to
vagina.
get out and talk.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah. Just
need to start
kind of get rid of it.
repopulating.
Let's just get the black out of them completely. Let's see here. What am I looking for? The Color Purple. Are you shitting me? You know
I-
what I saw they remade? It's actually out. White Man Can't Jump.
Yep.
Yes,
It's like
with
what?
fucking Jack
Why?
Harlow.
Why?
It does, and they'll never top those performances. Fucking
No. Yeah,
Harrison,
that
fucking Snipes, and Rosie Perez together. They had such fucking great chemistry,
yes.
Yeah,
and it
but
showed throughout that entire fucking movie.
yeah, but
No, no.
you do not need that remake. You don't need it.
No.
In
Yes,
no way.
One,
you had
that movie actually still holds up if you watch it. It's actually still
Yes.
really, it's just so good. They did such a great job with their performances. And for a lot of people, mine and Grimlock's age, that's a classic to us because it was just, it's such a simple movie that's very like not simple in its execution, right? The whole premise
Yeah.
is this guy wants to dunk and he can't. Right? That's basically it. But it gets so much deeper than that because there's so much more going on. And like one of his the big crowning achievement of his life, or the big like moment for him is when he pulls it off.
Ooh, they blacked her up, dude. They blacked her up. Look what they did. Look what they did. Look what they did. Look at it. Oh, these
They gave her a
people. These people. Look at that, dude. She way darker here. That's not her,
Oh,
but
you
I mean
can't.
the other one. Dude, they blacked her right up. Or maybe they
Yeah,
whited her up with a
they made
mermaid.
her.
Look at that. Look at that.
They either put her in the sun or took her out of the sun.
Well,
One of the two.
Well, that's a black girl, right? But if we come over here, where am I here? Here I am. Good example right there. Look at that. Look at that. Now you can barely tell that's a black girl. That's a mulatto. That's a high yellow mulatto for damn sure, right? And to be fair, if we could do something about her eyes, a little bit of surgery, and get a little bit of exercise. She's not necessarily an ugly girl, but
So you're
dude,
saying we should rest a magnet on her nose?
man, I think so. I think so. Yeah. So, but look what they did, dude. Look at that, dude. How did they do that? How did they do that?
Makeup.
Yeah. They probably caked a fuck ton of makeup on
I
her.
just don't understand. I mean, I do understand Hollywood's devoid of any kind of creativity, but not everything needs a remake, guys. Come on. Come on. Please,
Well, this
for the
movie
love of
wasn't
God.
very good to start with. The only reason it got any hype was because it's about black peoples and
Yes.
slaveries.
No,
Hatreds.
it was also Spielberg, so blame
Yeah,
him.
yeah, I understand that, but it was not his best work, dude. I mean, I see the thing is, a lot of people I don't think have actually seen the movie. I think there's a lot of people that have not seen The Color Purple, as famous as it is, because if you go watch it, that's a slog, dude. That is not a very good movie. It's quite boring.
Well, no, it has a point. Black men bad.
Yeah, Black Man Vet. Yeah,
That's the point of that movie.
that's true. But we also had Kunta Kinte.
More Fanta crap.
Well, I mean, it would have been a little bit. I would have appreciated it more if there was actually a black slave or somewhere. Yeah. But anyway, let's move on from this nonsense. But I'm just curious because if China, that's a threat from China,
Yeah.
and I wonder if this will cause pause for Disney.
I'm pretty sure. Well, I'll translate what they said. What did we tell you about sending them niggas over here?
Mhm.
We don't like them. Keep it up.
See what
And that
happens.
25%, and that 25% we give you will be nothing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even though the Chinese economy is not a real one and it's completely artificial and propped up on every side, as long as that lasts, and it is a fake thing, so it's going to last as long as the people in power
But-
allow it to be so. That's just money, dude. Money for these
Well,
people.
but the thing is, every place that I've said is every place that I watch or listen to for stuff like this has all said the same thing. Disney sends these movies over, and they only get 25% of the cut. So China gets a 75% cut to play this movie,
Hmm.
and they don't even like it.
No, of course.
So
they're
if you're
not.
gonna if you're in the business of actually trying to make money, why would you send them movies? You know they're gonna ship all over, and you're only gonna get 25% of whatever you get back. I would I would send them a fucking movie with so many goddamn white people in it. You would think you was watching a Brady Bunch rerun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If,
Especially Marsha. Uh-huh.
I, I,
No,
I
you
mean,
don't even know. You don't even
I
know.
would have that fucking movie as white as a fucking Cracker Barrel on a Sunday in South Carolina.
Yeah.
That's how fucking white I would have that movie. Because you seen the post. We've all seen the posters. We've all laughed at it.
Yeah.
Of
Sure.
all the things they do to
Yeah. Well, look
take
what they
black
did right here.
characters out or
Look at that.
change
She's
them.
blue.
Well, I mean, to be honest, compared to what they did to Boyega and Bozeman, that's pretty tame. But I mean,
A lot of airbrushing going on there, though.
yeah, but I mean, still compared to what they did to those two, it's pretty tame.
Yeah, fair.
So, I mean,
Well,
why? In fact, why even bother at all? Because it's a losing proposition.
It is, and like with the people who made Maverick, they were like, "Well, yeah, screw you, China. We won't even send our film over there," and it still went over $1 billion. And of course, the thing you got to keep in mind, these Disney movies, they're over there, they're gleaning for 10, 20, 30 million dollars or something like that. You realize that the Chinese-made films that come out have like equivalent to $500 million, $1 billion sales all the time, right? These Hollywood movies are not cracking into that market at all, really, but yet they still glomming on it. Now with the basketball dudes, I understand it a little bit more, but that's all because of Zhao Ming, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's only because of him anyway.
Well,
Whatever.
I'll say even further than that. The Jordan Bulls did really blow up the NBA in China, and then Yao Ming took it to a fucking
That's true.
whole new level. But
Well, Jordan changed the sport. Let's be fair.
Yeah, but even with that, other than that, they know there's a hand. They even know exactly which black people the Chinese will tolerate.
Yeah.
For some reason, they like Will Smith. They love them some Will Smith.
They do. Yeah. Well,
And there's a handful, and they've made it clear. It's pretty obvious. The darker skinned that black person is, the less they like them.
That's true.
So, I mean, at this point, the only way you could piss off China more is if you casted Flavor Flav as a lead in the next Disney movie,
right,
and send it to China.
Well, and keep in mind with the Asians in particular, the Chinese, extremely so. Worse than that is gay. They do not like America. They wouldn't even accept the film that had a gay character in it anyway. But they really don't like that. They really, really, really don't like that. They've outlawed it in amazing ways. Of course, when we want to look at countries that are being very reasonable and family oriented, you have to go to the Baltics. Even though they're a bit noisy, Poland might be the best of it, oddly enough. But anyway, that's a different conversation. But boy, that's amazing. Hollywood Magic. She went from this, super light, mega. I mean, my goodness, light to an actual black girl. We just saw it, But anyway,
Magic,
movie magic, dude. Then we have this.
Daedalic Entertainment responds to massive The Lord of the Rings Gollum backlash. Please accept our sincere apologies for any disappointment.
Well,
wow.
At least they apologize, because the disappointment, I've heard some complaints about gameplay too, but the problem with this game is it's ugly. Ugly, dude. It's bad ugly. It's like how in this modern age, how? Look at this. Are you
When your
kidding me?
trailers look better than your game? Yeah. I mean, this would look good on the PS2.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's the point. This is like 20 years out of date, dude. It's so bad, and of course, I've heard gameplay is an absolute crap as well.
And I would be fine with that if that was your gimmick, because I do realize there are some game companies where that is their gimmick to make. Well, not even that. It's just like they even say, this is inspired by this era or whatnot. Where this is like,
It's just
dude, if
bad.
you didn't have the money, to handle modern consoles, because I'm pretty sure that thing runs like absolute dog fucking water on a
Yeah, I imagine
PC.
there's a lot of complaints with this game, and it's a $60 game too, which people are also upset about that. But it's just how ugly and bad the game is, and it's just more of these companies putting out crap and expecting us to happily pay for it. And
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. You easily there's indie studios that are creating way better things than you people are, and what
Yep.
the hell are you doing? How in the hell do you have a Tolkien license anyway? I mean, honestly, what's
Well,
going on?
it's kind of funny that you mentioned, the indie stuff, because one of the things that I see the indie guys and the crowdfund guys get a lot of shit on is when they have to delay things or things come out later than the original, you know, release date.
Yeah,
And I'm thinking, I get it, I understand, you know, you got, hype and anticipation for a certain thing, but fuck, how could you be mad at them when for years now?
hmm
I mean, this has been going on, what, 7, 8 years now,
mm.
where this kind of shit is the biggest complaint in modern gaming.
I'd say it's longer than that. You
Where
go back to
you
Elder,
get
Elder
you get a
Scrolls 3.
game, yeah. Well, I mean, you get a game, and day one the motherfucker don't run, or it needs a patch, or
hmm
there's something ridiculous. It's not optimized.
Oh yeah, buggy
There's
as
some
shit.
weird glitch or some
Yeah,
shit. It's like,
yeah.
how, you know how can you be mad at the indie guys when you're also mad at shit like
I
this? This is the kind of, you should be more mad at this shit.
I ain't mad at
I'll
the
take
indies
a
at all
delay.
because at least they're honest. They come up straight up and tell you. But the thing is, we had a Golem game not too long ago, decade ago, 15 years, can't remember. And it looked way better than this. And it was the same kind of thing, stealthy Golem moving through camps and stuff. And it looked way better than this.
Yep.
And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Right? I didn't want to spend much time on it, but it's just wow, dude. These companies, man. Yeah, and I don't understand how in the hell do they have the license? This is my question. How did they get the license? Who gave them this license, right? What
They
is the
probably bid on that.
Tolkien? Well, maybe they did, but what is the Tolkien? Since Christopher died, oh, it's gone to shit, right?
Yep. That's what
Christopher had
happens.
a stranglehold in that. Now the nieces and nephews are just money, money, money. Give me, pay, pay, pay.
Yep.
As if that estate didn't have enough money anyway, right?
Well, they're also, I mean, because of his work and because of his status that he achieved
hmm
in especially Great Britain, but also in other countries in Europe, um, they probably don't ever have to worry about money, regardless, because of it, right? So it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you so greedy? There's
Greedy.
no possible chance in hell that this estate is hurting for money unless
No.
somebody's been doing something
No,
real
and we
stupid.
know we know Christopher was extremely responsible, hardworking guy. We know. We know.
Yes.
And he just recently died. And keep in mind also, if I had the Tolkien name, I would go out and spend myself a couple of years doing some research, write some book, even if it wasn't good, and I would make bank off the name alone.
Yep.
Off
You're
the
the
name
great
alone.
grandchild Tolkien? Wow.
I am
Boom.
Barbara
Instantly,
Tolkien. Here is my book about
Yep.
gay goblins. Money.
instantly, bro.
Money.
Instantly published. It wouldn't even be a
hmm
question. They'd be asking to publish it.
That's right. I'm going to grab some coffee. I'll be back. You guys go ahead and yell at Daedalic.
No, I
Well,
honestly, it's a shame watching the Tolkien estate whore itself out like it's been doing. I mean, Amazon paid 250 million, something like that, for not the rights to Lord of the Rings, which is strange. Um, then you have this game that obviously was given to not only the wrong company, but just not even close. Like Lord of the Rings games, you have recently, you have the Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War games, which were, by all accounts, splendid in comparison to this. Great graphics, unique system that only Warner Brothers is legally allowed to ever use because they patented it. Of the Nemesis system, it had innovation, great graphics, a pretty good story that somewhat fit the overall lore, even though it was never trying to say it was canon. It had all of these things, and then what do you get here? You get a game about a character that is, I mean, he's beloved, but not. Was anybody asking for a Gollum game?
No.
Did we need this? Why did we need this? Why does anybody want this? It sounds horrifically boring, first of all. And second of all, he's not a character you're supposed to see as in any way heroic or something you're supposed to want to be or play as or pretend to be or any of that. He's not representative of anything good. He is pure pathetic, pure pity. He is the absolute lowest of the low that someone can be because of his obsession with the ring. Right? That is the point. Is the ring represents power. It's literally called the Rings of Power, and it is the most powerful one, and his obsession with it utterly destroyed him and turned him into a creature instead of he lost even his personhood over it. He became something hideous and pathetic. And the only one who has even a shred of pity for him is Frodo, because he understands what he went through with the weight of the ring, right, as a ring bearer. But my point is, you're not supposed to empathize with him. You're not supposed to want to be him. You're supposed to look at him with scorn and disgust because he is disgusting. So why would you think, hey, let's make a game with that character as the lead? What?
Well, he's a murderer.
What?
Right?
Yeah, he's a murderer. Yeah. He's pathetic. He's a liar. He tries to murder Frodo and Sam.
And others.
There's just nothing about this character that you should be like, I'm that guy. That's the guy I want to be.
Well, he's a cannibal as well. The movie didn't really express it well. There was one offhand comment, but if you read the book, he kills goblins all the time, and bushwhacks them and eats them. He's a cannibal, right? But it is this whole thing with the villain having to be misunderstood that we have going on recently. So that's another idea, but it's just dumb. There's more of these companies just wasting our damn time with this crap. But this one is shockingly bad, dude. Shockingly bad. And as someone, I think it was Roger said in the comments here, this is like one of the first actual PlayStation supposed next gen games. This piece of crap. Look how bad it looks, dude. Look how bad it looks.
Well, here's another thing that needs to stop, and it's this idea that you can take a known franchise, a popular franchise, and take anything from that franchise, and that it'll be instant money because it's part of that franchise. It's like you said, Gollum is not. Of all the characters you could pick to build a game around, you fucking picked Gollum.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I mean, there's so many of those little side stories that Christopher, that his dad wrote, more for his kind of his core understanding of his world. But Christopher went and published a whole bunch of those, right? Not just the Silmarillion. And there's so many of those little side stories you could tell. They're quite interesting. Odd that Tolkien's actually an amazing writer. Best writer of the 20th century. Maybe we should, just follow that pattern. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is not even a story of Gollum's downfall.
No, it's just Gollum doing.
If you was gonna, because I'm gonna say, if you was going to do a Gollum game, that would be I would think would be the story to tell, is his downfall.
Yeah.
Because that's his whole purpose.
Well, how cool it could actually be kind of cool, now that I think about it. If you wanted to do this for some reason, why not either do that or tell the Lord of the Rings from his perspective? right? Because he's with Frodo and Sam throughout a good portion of it. So
Yep.
why not? Let's see it from his perspective, all the way up to his, eventual demise.
Yeah.
That would be at least. I think that would just be better narratively, right? Because obviously the story's fantastic, hence why it's so popular. So why not? If we want to tell Gollum's story, fine, but do it at his absolute lowest and let us experience it. Let us be it.
Right.
I don't know. This
Yeah,
just seems.
and-
It just seems like a soulless attempt
Yeah.
at cashing in on unrecognized characters. That's all it is.
It is, and I don't really know the story they're trying to tell here, to be fair. But I would not. I understand what you're saying, and it's a way the last game went. But me personally, I think if you're going to deal with Gollum at all, it's the period between Bilbo and Frodo where he's out in the world searching for the ring, and that's a big chunk of time. It takes him a
Yep.
long time to figure out where the Baggins are, right? And
Yep.
there's things you could do during that time, but it's just nonsense.
Yeah, it's dumb.
It is, unfortunately.
I
But,
mean, if you're gonna pick a bad guy from Lord of the Rings that we can play, I mean, there's just so many better options. Why would we want to play the literal most pathetic piece of crap out of all of them? I don't know. Like, it could be cool to kind of almost have like a Saruman game where it's like an RTS or something, or a Sauron game where you're just throughout his whole existence doing his thing, right, trying to corrupt the world, basically. That could be interesting if it was done well, as like a strategy game or something.
mhm.
But I just why would anybody want to be Gollum? Like, there's nothing about that character other than the fact that the movie sometimes made him look a little cute, right? A little cutesy with the way he's doing things. There's nothing about that character in the book, especially.
No, he's disgusting.
That is,
yeah.
yeah, he's
Vile.
utterly disgusting, revolting, and
Yeah.
hated and despised by everybody who meets him.
He is the embodiment of avarice for Tolkien. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what he is. But I just went to go I'm still making my coffee, waiting for it to boil. But I got a bit snippy with my secretary.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to apologize. But yeah, no, because she reminded me I have a teleconference today, and I was like, yeah, I'm well aware.
Like it's her fault.
Well, no, it kind of sucks. Here's the problem. This is a me problem. I know, first world problems. But well, no, I have to deal with a lot of doctors and scientists and stuff like that all the time, right? Because a lot of there's companies that will send their worker that they have to send overseas, so they send them to me for a crash course in polishing their English before they go to this foreign country. I do it all the
Mhm.
time, right? And I don't mind it. My wife certainly doesn't because they pay, right?
Right.
But anyway, I have a tactic that I use because I don't know if you've ever met these kind of people. They tend to be a little bit what's the word? Aloof.
Mm.
Yeah. But I'm fortunate where I can carry on a conversation in any science very easily. I've studied enough that I've earned an opinion in any scientific conversation, right? And
Yeah.
what I'll do is I'll talk to them in the initial class and get just to kind of get to know you class type of thing, and I'll ask what it is specifically they do, and then I'll have a conversation with them, not being overt, but subtly having a conversation, and they are learned very quickly. I know exactly what they do. Right?
Mm.
There's no surprises here for me. And what that does is it backs them right up because they're surprised. And it makes it my job easier. You understand the tactic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm doing a bunch of teleconferences and some direct classes as well with a bunch of ichthyologists. Okay. Ichthyologists are on my list now. They're not quite the Egyptologists. They're not at that level, but they're on my list because I actually know more about ichthyology than a lot of things because I was really into it when I was a kid, right? And I had a conversation. I probably went a little bit overboard, and I know exactly what they're doing, the biology, all the things they're doing. I know exactly what they're doing. and I laid it on too thick. It's my fault, really.
Oh,
Yeah.
see what you did.
So now that's all they want to talk about, which is good because they're talking. It's in English, and I don't let them get away with the Japanese crap. So it's effectively doing the job. But oh my god, dude.
You don't want to spend the rest of your day speaking about one specifically boring subject.
Yeah, fish. I don't even like fish. My water's boiling. I'll be back in a second.
Not a big fan of fish either myself. The only creature of the sea that I typically like, occasionally I'll eat some crab or some lobster, but it's been a long time. But shrimp, big shrimp guy. Love me some shrimp. I likes the shrimps. The fish, nah, fish ain't for me. Fish ain't for me. I really don't know how people can pretend to like fish when if you ever talk to somebody and they're eating some fish and they don't like it, more often than not, the reason they don't like it is, and I quote, it tastes too fishy. So, I mean, I've never ate a steak. Like, it tastes too steaky. I've never eaten anything and been like, it tastes too much like the thing I'm eating. I don't want it.
Yeah.
Because the point of eating it is to eat the thing you're eating. Yeah. But yet people with fish, for some reason, can't stand the taste of fish, and I agree with them. It's disgusting. So it's very odd. It's very odd behavior by humans.
They've never had a good flounder sandwich.
Oh no, there's some good fish. I agree with that. Yeah, because you're up from New England. You're a Yankee. That's why. You understand the flounder sandwich.
Get some fucking flounder on some fucking toasted bread, some tartar sauce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But here's the thing. I study every day. Every day I study specifically so that I can teach anyone. Right. Mm-hmm. I put that work in so that I could do my job the best I can. Right. As with anybody else. If you're a carpenter, you're always learning. I mean, whatever. Right. That's normal. There's nothing special about it. Oh man, life regrets, man. Unbelievable. Because here's the big problem. Another thing I didn't know that I know now. These guys are not only ichthyologists; they're like the top ichthyologist on Earth.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh Jesus. I stepped in it, dude. I did step in it. Yeah.
You did. See, you had to show off, didn't you? You had to show off.
I did. You understand the tactic, though. I know you do.
I do.
Right?
I used to be a salesman.
Absolutely.
It disarms people.
It does.
Because a lot of people, especially people who are the best at what they do, they like that. They like that they're the best at what they do. So if you can disarm them, take that tool away from them, they're like, oh, well, I need to listen to this guy. It immediately gets you respect. It's strange how much value humans all over the world, it's not like just a Western thing, it's everywhere, place in what they do to make their money.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, it's just a skill that you're trading for someone else's money.
That's right.
It's really not that impressive when you think about it. Now, some jobs are, but most jobs really aren't that damn impressive.
No.
But yet, some people will take, their job and they just, I'm proud of that's how they define their whole identity. And I've always found that, shallow, personally.
Maybe.
Like, unless you're doing something that's important, like you're saving lives or something, okay, fine. But if you're just, an ichthyologist, calm down.
Yeah. Well, they are producing higher yields of fish, so they actually probably are saving people, to be honest with you.
Listen, but only people who eat fish. My ass would starve to death if all I had was eat fish.
Fair. That is fair. So would I. But whatever. I mean, they're good guys. It's just, yeah.
The one that gets me, the one that drives me absolutely insane, is when people have a degree from a university, and fair enough, they went and got it. Good job. You get your claps. But then they pretend that because they have this degree, they know more than everybody else. Even if there's people who have more degrees in the same thing. My wife's aunt is like this.
Yeah.
She I don't know what it's called, but basically she does x-rays, right? Mm-hmm. And now she pretends she knows everything about everything medical ever. And will literally argue with actual experts and doctors and things because she knows better. You see, she's educated. And I can't stand educated idiots.
Right.
It's one of the few groups of people on this planet I would genuinely say I hate, because when you work in a service industry like I have for most of my life, going in and you're trying to fix their thing that they broke because they're so much smarter than you, and then they try to tell you why you're wrong about why it's broken.
Oh yeah.
If it wasn't for the fact that it's illegal, that might get you killed right there, because what are you doing? If you know, then you fix it, lazy.
That's true. That's true. Grimlock, I spent an entire hour last week speaking about amino acids.
You should mess
feel
with
for me.
them.
You should feel for me.
You should mess with them. You know what you should do? Ask them if they've ever had a good whatchamacallit.
Oh,
and let them figure it out.
Yeah, let them figure it out. No, they're not bad guys. They're not. I've met plenty of very arrogant people.
Say they had to be bad to fuck with them.
No, you don't. That's true. And I do fuck with people, of course.
What's funny though,
is
it seems like the people, usually from my experience, that have the most practical educations or the most education, like you, they have multiple degrees and things. Those people aren't usually like that. It's the ones who have one or two, right? Who have like one degree higher than your average person.
Yeah.
For some reason, their head goes right up their ass as soon as they get that diploma in their hand, and you can't talk them out of it.
No.
You can't tell them they're wrong about anything, because they know.
They know.
They know everything.
No, and there's a problem with that, because anybody listening to me right now, you can go get a degree in anything you want. Anything. I don't care what field it is. There's very few fields that take real specialization. You could go. You just got to put the work in, right? And you can get it. But the problem is, a lot of these people, and something that my professor I had when I was at Brown, it's one of the best things he ever said to me. Not all those classes and all those lectures and all that stuff and all the field work and all of that. There's one thing he said to me. He said, now that you have your degree, now is when you start to learn.
That's right.
Yeah, because that's the thing. A degree is the beginning of it. It's not the end. But a lot of people look at it like that, and they're wrong. And that one little thing from my professor, and he said it so poignantly to me, right? And I did respect the guy. So, that's important too. But he said so poignantly to me that I have taken that to heart for the past 30 years. Right? 30 years. I have gone and I study every damn day to try to learn something new. And that's my burden. I'm not complaining about it, but and I'm just kind of joking about the ecologists a little bit. It's actually interesting in a way. It's just they're just so damn boring.
Well, everything eventually gets uninteresting. I mean, if you do it enough or talk about it enough, pretty much, I'm trying to think if there's anything on Earth that I wouldn't get tired of talking about. You know what I mean? Like, so eventually everything gets boring enough.
Amino acids.
Yeah, that would be very quickly. I would be, okay, that's enough about amino acids. Holy hell. Can we stop talking about amino acids?
Although, did I tell you what it is they're working on?
Oh, what we got?
This is, and this I even made a joke about it, and half of them got it. But the fact that the Japanese can make money off of anything. They're absolutely amazing in how deep they'll go. This is what these dudes are working on. They didn't make me sign an NDA or anything, so I guess I can, I won't go into detail. But basically, what they're doing is, they have created a new type of kale that, when consumed by cows, reduces the amount of methane that they release.
Wait, now what now? A new type of kale that reduces how much they fart? Is that what you're telling me? It
That
lowers their farts?
Global warming.
Oh, boy. See, I like how the Japanese, they're like, listen, this is probably stupid, but these dumb white people will pay us. They'll give us money for this, so let's do it. All right.
It is dumb white people. It's Australia. They're going down there and they're helping them build a big old kale factory in Australia.
I love the grift. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. No, I think it's hilarious because they, some of the actual real smart ones. Because understand this: not every scientist is as smart as you think they should be. They're not.
That's true.
But the actual really smart dudes, they laugh their ass off with me. They get it. They think it's hilarious too.
It's
because
nonsensical.
Who gives a shit? this
Apparently, not the cows. Hey.
well, that's true. But I mean, the hubris of mankind to think that we actually have the ability to affect this planet in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Anyway, let's move on here.
As
My burdens.
As the Admiral tells Picard in season 1 of his show, the sheer fucking hubris.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
it is. It is what it is. But hey, Japanese are right there to make money off it. Now this is interesting.
I like that. Short list of rumored Superman and Lois actors for James Gunn's Superman Legacy makes the rounds. Interesting. That is interesting.
It is interesting, and we're going to talk about it here for a second, but I want to look at this here. Lois, what are you doing? Those are 10 tickets for my super kisses. You're tearing up. Any other girl would love them. Me? Kiss a conceited show-off like you? I'd rather kiss Dracula. The other girls can have you. Good. More for you, Kal-El. Look at it. Look at it, Kal-El. There's 4.
Right?
And you, dude, you can handle it.
Oh, he could definitely handle
Definitely
it.
handle
In
it.
fact,
You don't
he
need
would
this.
probably murder them. Let's be honest.
Yeah, you don't need this. Yeah. I love that insinuation in Superman 2, right? Christopher Reeves. That's the insinuation, right? But anyway, okay. So this article is interesting because we've been kind of speculating and talking about it, and we have 4 names. We have 4 names who are actually in the talk officially to be the new Superman. Now,
how many of them are black?
None.
Wow, I'm shocked and stunned.
Well, because the Zaslav's in charge. That's why.
Oh.
We know we're going to get real Superman. We're going to get an actual Superman. And now whether Gunn could pull it off or not is another thing. But anyway, so whose hat you thinking? We got 4 dudes, 4 white men. Well, mostly white men. There's no blacks in there, but 4 white
Jewish.
dudes. Oh well, Hollywood.
But in fairness, Superman is kind of Jewish.
He is.
Like he's
Moses.
So that's fine. In my opinion, if they
sure.
if they cast a Jew to play the Kansas boy,
No problem.
because I mean that's what he is. He's an analogy for the Messiah.
Yep.
So cool. Rock on.
Any guesses? Any names you'd like to throw in the hat there, Grimlock?
I'm disappointed that Roman Reigns is not going to be on this list.
I don't know what kind of acting chops he's got. He could play Conan though.
Oh, he's a fantastic actor. The last year or so of his storyline that's been in the company, he's unbelievable. He would make a fantastic villain, but he would need to be a serious one. I don't know if he could pull off a goofy one, so it'd have to be something serious. And the problem is as you have pointed out, the Polynesians have never really been taken too seriously.
Unfortunately,
as like a group in a lot of our popular literature. So it'd be interesting who he could even play.
Well,
but
tell them that they're all Chaldeans, but
well, but he's actually surprisingly I'd say he's a better actor than his cousin, than The Rock. Like he's been killing it with his storyline. Like just last night or yesterday, they had a pay-per-view where, basically everything came to a head, and his performance at the end of it was perfect. Like he exactly what he needed to be, exactly what he needed to do.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And believe it or not, if you would have asked me this 5 years ago, it would have been nothing but scorn, because I absolutely hated the nonsense they had him doing. But in the last few years, he's really blossomed, I guess would be the right word. They got the right direction for him, and he has just killed it. So I think he could be something once he's done with WWE, which is probably this year or next year. He's probably going to be taking a step back.
He should try to cross over then, because he's got a great look. He's a good-looking man. Yeah. He's very healthy. I'd rather have an actual Celt or a Nord play Conan. Fair enough. But Momoa didn't bother me. It was that failure of that movie wasn't his fault.
No.
Right. That was everything else. It was just I'm not going to get. That's a long conversation. Well, that was bad. But whatever. Let's take a look here. Unless you guys no guesses on nothing in your head.
I have no idea. Mm-mm.
Well,
the problem is I don't know enough young actors right now because they're all so mediocre. I have no interest.
Oh, you know them.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Let's see them.
Well, the first one up, and I just want to say offhand, it made me laugh. So let's get into it. Now I'll start with the least known. This fella right here, he looks rather Russian to me, even though he's got himself a very English name, or it's Scandinavian possibly, but he's done hardly anything at all. Hardly, he's really an unknown, and he's my least favorite because look at him. Does that scream
Yeah.
Superman at all?
Well, he's way too small.
He is
One.
small, yeah. Because Superman's my
I mean,
height,
even
right?
Henry. Yeah, even Henry's too short. Everything else about him was perfect, but he's not tall enough. He's only like 6'1", 6. I don't even think he's 6'1". I think he's only 6 foot tall. Superman is about 6'3", 6'4", depending on how you're looking at him.
Yeah, who's drawing him? Yeah, but I don't know what to say. The guy has hardly any work here. Nothing big, nothing you would know him from. The biggest thing he did was a Fantasy Island, which was an absolute failure here, the recent reboot. But I mean, let's go with this one. I guess this gives us a little bit better of a. He doesn't speak to me at all.
Nah, that's not Kale. That ain't him.
What do you think, Grimlock?
That ain't Kale.
He looks like a detective in a made-for-TV movie.
He does, and he's got enough swarthiness that he could pull off Spanish roles as well. Look at him here in this one. It's Spanish. I really get a strong Spanish feel out of him, right? But that's not even it. He just doesn't speak to me as Kal-El at all. Let's go to the next one here. Another fella. This guy's an Australian. What's his name here? What was his name? The Australian here. Jacob Eldery. I don't know him, but it looks a little bit better. It doesn't feel Kal-El to me, though.
No. He looks like a Jacob, actually. His name is perfect for him.
He does look like a Jacob, yeah. No, this is a Jewish actor.
He looks
right?
like Australian Mark Ruffalo, and that's not a compliment.
Yeah, oh wow, yeah. But it is a Jewish kid. I don't know. The next one, does he look like someone we know?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He looks a lot like Henry. Henry. And it's like, if you want Henry, then use Henry.
Yeah. He's right there.
Now this kid's name is what's his name? Let me find it here real quick. David Cornsweet. That's not a good name, brother. Boy, does he look like Henry. He doesn't got the build of Henry, but he could work on that. He is in good shape though. I
bet you with a last name like that, he fights like a motherfucker.
I bet you he does. Yeah.
He also has very large ears, and I don't like that.
Yeah, they are the outward turned ears, but I don't really care about that. But
they're going to have to tape those back if he wants to be Superman. Superman cannot have ears that are distracting. Fair. Just can't do it.
Fair.
I can't have it.
Fair. I was born lucky. My ears lay completely flat. Yeah.
Yeah, mine do too.
You cannot be the last son of Krypton and have Dumbo ears.
No,
yeah, we can't have Dumbo Superman.
We have spoken.
Okay. Yeah. But the thing is with these three, this guy, if he really hit the gym, which we know a lot of these young male actors are willing to do it, maybe. But I don't have much opinion about these two. But
I'm gonna be honest. With looking at this picture, he looks like a scruffier Bond more than
like a young Bond, James Bond, yeah.
Like a young scruffy Bond,
yeah. Well, Henry, once again, that's who your James Bond should be. It should be Henry. But anyway, let's go to who I think is probably the actual person who's going to be Superman out of these four. Of course, you never know. Early days, right? Sometimes these things just blow up and it becomes someone completely different, right? But these are the four names that are actually officially mentioned. All right. Mm-hmm. The last one is a very, very interesting choice, and Nicholas Hoult.
What?
Who?
The guy who was in Renfield with Nick Cage.
No. That's the answer to that. Simply no. He is
He-
way too feminine looking. Like he has very, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word for it. It's not masculine. Everything's very long on him,
Yeah.
which is fine,
gonna,
but that's not Superman.
Well,
Superman
he did
is,
kill it in that movie, though. He killed it in
He did.
Renfield, dude. Yeah.
but he's still
all
not
right,
Superman.
but Chester,
Mhm.
look at this picture and tell me, does the song "Do You Really Want to Hurt Me" by Culture Club not play in the background as you look at this picture?
Hurt me. Do you really want to make me cry?
I mean, seriously, you look at that picture and that song just immediately plays in your head. That's not color.
If
Poor
you're gonna
boy
force
George.
4 guys,
He would probably make a good Boy George in a freaking Culture Club biopic, but no,
Aw.
Yeah,
not Kal-El.
he's not Soups.
He was
He's
one
just
of
not
our
Soups.
favorite British gays.
Yes.
Yeah, we
If
love
these are
Boy.
my 4 to pick from, it would probably be Jacob. And the only reason I say Jacob
Interesting.
is because I found his Instagram here, and he has a side shot of him, and he has the build. He's just not bulked out. So he has the frame. He's actually a pretty big guy from this
Mhm.
picture here. He's just not bulked out, and we know what they can do in Hollywood.
Yeah,
So they can
that's
get him
true.
bulked out.
Yeah.
That to me is almost more important than just about anything else. I don't want cuck Superman out there. I need a man, please. Can I please have a man play Superman, not some skinny little boy who's in a bodysuit or something?
Yeah.
This
is the
Superman
Lois,
has to
by the way.
embody that stuff. Oh boy.
Why do they keep
A
making
redhead?
Lois a redhead? Not that I'm against it, because they tend to hate redheads. But recently they've been on this kick to make Lois a redhead, and of course we just saw in the original cartoon up here that she's not.
Well, see, you're not getting it. See, they're playing chess with you. See, they're gonna make her a redhead, so in the sequel she'll be black.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, Frank
Yeah.
Quietly here is one of my favorite Superman artists. I know that's controversial. I know it. Come at me. But I like Frank Quietly, actually. But I like Jim Lee too. All of them. I like all of them, to be honest with you. But I do like Frank Quietly. It's an interesting take on Superman. But nevertheless, that's what you got.
Well, here, let me show you this picture of him.
Okay.
It's on his Instagram. You have to click on his Instagram. Well, it actually pops up when you look at him. In this picture here, he looks a lot closer.
Just share your screen.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea, Chester. You're such a smart guy. Where's the button? Hang on.
Yeah, no, that's true, Elrod. Elrod, Corn Sweat is a tall American. That's true. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, no, I get it. I see what they're seeing. I get it. I think all of them have that profile that works. And we know these boys can get in the gym and work it out. They're professionals, I'm sure. And of course, we saw what they did with Chris Hemsworth. They added, 50 pounds of muscle on him for that last movie?
Yeah.
So we know what they can do, and they're willing to throw money away like that. Yeah, but you see, this is the age range they're going for as well. And the thing that's funny for me, especially when we take a look here at, if I go back to my screen here, and we see this guy, Holt, is his age that different than Henry?
I don't think so. He's been around about as long as Henry. I know he has.
Can you check that real quick? What is Henry's age, please?
I think he's 40 or 39. He's like right there. He's 33, so I guess.
Yeah, so Henry's not is perfect. He's right in the pocket, dude. He's right in the pocket.
I'll give Holt this. He's the right height. He's 6'3". He is a tall guy. I don't know, man. He doesn't have the problem with me. I'll tell you right now. It's his jawline. I don't like it. I don't like it. Like you showed that picture of this. Every Superman you've ever seen that wasn't garbage in the comic books, he has a very defined jaw.
Yeah.
This guy has a non-jaw. He's one of those dudes with the really pushed back chin situation.
Yeah. Weak chin. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no weak chins.
And keep in mind, Christopher Reeves is still the most beloved Superman as far as live action goes. And he was fit, but he wasn't some cut
Yeah, he
out
wasn't a bulk.
Adonis. Yeah,
No, he wasn't bulky. He was just nice and what a man really should be built like, especially with that frame.
yeah, and he had the perfect face though for it. I mean, Jesus,
yes, he was born for that role.
he
In
was.
fact, I would say Henry is the only one who was ever really bulky, right? Like that's played Superman live action. But that's just how he
Well,
is. He's just a big guy.
George Reeves was a bit bulky, actually.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, George was pretty, especially for his time.
Yeah. Yeah, he was really.
But regardless,
athletic.
I don't need him necessarily to be Henry, but I also need him to not be Nicholas Hoult. Like Nick is just, he's a good actor. I got nothing against him. He's just not Superman.
Yeah.
He's just not.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it pans out, and of course, it's way up in the air what James Gunn can even do with Superman. But we'll see that. But at least we're starting to get some names thrown around. That's good. I get what you're saying about Nicholas. I don't know anything about him since I saw I saw Renfield, and I thought he killed it. He did a really good job.
He's been in a lot of stuff actually. He's been around a very long time. I mean, I got stuff all the way back 2007, probably farther if I really look. Where's his IMDb at?
Elrod says he's rumored to be Luthor, not Superman. Well, he's in the list for Superman, though. I don't know about that. But the thing with Luthor is that they don't really get right. Luthor should be epically fit. He should be very, very fit because that's his shtick. And he's a bit older than Superman. He's not. He's not his contemporary, aside from what Smallville tried to tell you. And even in that, he was a bit older than Clark. But Luthor should be a little bit older fellow who is in peak physical condition. Honestly, I think there's some actors that come to my mind that I would choose over maybe Tom Hardy. He might be a good Luthor.
Maybe he's a little small, but
but that's okay. We don't need him to be a giant, but he needs to be very intellectual.
No, you know who would make I think would make a really, really good Luthor. He's a little bit too big, but I think you could get away with it if you had the right Superman. Is Alan Ritchson, Reacher?
Oh,
and the reason why I think him is because he has menace. See, that's the thing that they've never done with Luthor on the big screen. He's never been menacing. They tried with Spacey, but nobody's intimidated by Kevin Spacey. Let's be honest.
No.
But Ritchson, that's a menacing man. That's a scary man.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind there to be a big giant guy to play Luthor. It'd be okay, but he should be a physical specimen. If you understand the narrative with Lex Luthor, he is the Ubermensch. He is Nietzschean's Ubermensch, is what he is. And he, is he a bad guy? Yeah, he's got some evil tendencies, but mainly what he is a xenophobe.
Yep.
He's the Ubermensch via Germany.
Basically, yeah.
Right. I mean, that's what he really is. He's a racist.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because he's the one who considers himself the best man on the planet. And aside from super people, he might be.
Mm-hmm.
But Superman comes along and is just better at everything that he can do just because he just is. So it's funny because while he is the stereotypical Ubermensch, the Nietzschean Ubermensch, Superman is the literal Ubermensch. And that's an interesting thing that you got there, that dichotomy. So I think if you almost had Luthor be a little bit bigger than Kal, like in just physical size, that could almost add to that. That could almost help.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. And we got to keep in mind, we forget that these days. But Kal-El is Moses. He is a Jew. He is Space Jew. Is what he is. And although he is, and although Lex Luthor didn't start that way, what he evolved into being was the Aryan Nazi is what he became. In effect, because back in the day with comic books, they weren't on the nose. They had this ability to write in a certain thing we call subtlety. You know.
That's right.
But that's what he was. Superman was Super Jew and Super Space Jew, and Lex was the fatherland's greatest specimen. Is what what it was. But they just couched it in alien, xenophobia. But
Right.
So I wouldn't mind Jews in space. Dude, Edwin, you're showing your age, buddy. That was one of my favorite skits on the Muppet Show, though. Pigs in space. That was great, dude. Miss Piggy was just absolutely unhandleable.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank God. Yep.
Thank God.
But no, I think Richardson. Mainly just because I want him to get more work, and I think he would kill Luthor. I think he would bring what Luthor's never had in live action, that menace, the ability to intimidate you with simply just a look. Right?
Yep.
He needs to be a problem for Superman, not just a problem for him because he's got money and connections, but in every way, but physically dominating. He needs to be able to be a threat to Superman.
Yeah, and he's a bit older too.
Yeah, he's older. He can pull that off, and he was in the new Fast and Furious movie.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he plays a character called Ames, and he's just phenomenal. He just is. Like, the guy needs more work. He is what we should all want. He is built like a tank, and he can do the action, and he can act. He can act. Unlike Arnold Schwarzenegger, he can act.
He can act. Oh, dude, Conan.
Oh my God! Exactly.
Oh my God, dude, he would be perfect. He actually has all. What are we doing? We need to get on that immediately. No, but I tell you, especially when he did a great job. That was a really good rendition of Reacher. Nothing against Tom. Tom's money. And the simple fact of the matter, I saw a video from Tom Cruise the other day where he jumped off a cliff 6 times in a day just to make sure it was right. So you know what? Go give that man your money.
At 60 years old.
Yeah, unbelievable. All right,
it's crazy.
It's crazy. But give that man your money just for that.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was a much better take on Reacher according to the books. His touch of autism, his even the little scene where his feet hanging off the bed, which is something that's mentioned in the books, right? They did a really good job with that. That guy is great. And now I'm going to have to start a campaign. We need he is Conan. He is Conan.
He would be a great Conan.
He would
kill it. Because the crazy thing about him is, even though in his personal life he seems like a genuinely wholesome guy, like he seems like a good man, he plays a badass who has no problem with brutality better than anybody I've seen since the 80s. Like, that Reacher show is amazing. It's amazing what he pulls off in that performance.
Brutality is the thing.
Brutality.
You know what he would be good at? Pro wrestling, I bet.
Yeah, if he was a little younger. He's a little too old to start now.
Yeah, I know, but he could sell. He sells it, dude, really well. And that's what it comes down to, selling it. And how do you sell it on a? You don't have to be a real. I mean, do you think Jackie Chan's an actual badass? No, he's not.
No.
Right?
No, he's fast.
He's fast, and he's amazing, and we love him forever and ever. But he sells it in the most beautiful way, and he sacrifices himself for it as well. But that's what it comes down to. And these days, we've been seeing less and less people with the ability to sell it. And it really pisses me off, particularly, and it's just simply the current environment we're in, but especially amongst the women. Right? It didn't used to be that way. We've had plenty of women went out there and busted their ass to play an action role. They put the work in. They were professionals, and they would learn how to sell it. You might not be a big fan of Sackhoff, but that lady puts the work in. Right? She puts the work in. And so many of these young ones, they're literally little teeny boppy high school girls, and you're trying to tell me they're kicking anything's ass.
Yes.
It's irritating to me. And then at the same time, they have little girl boys around it, but you can tell, like Gotham is a perfect example. Oh my God, how horrible that show is. No, it's ridiculously bad, right? But they have little girly boys all around them because the girls are pathetic and weak, and they can't kick anyone's ass. You don't believe it for a second. But you can tell that the boys, even though they're little, what's that word you used the other week? Twinkies.
Yes, Twinks.
Yes, Twinkies. Yes. You can tell they put the work in, though. You can see it. Even the Twinkies are putting the work in.
Yeah.
I still don't know why they call them Twinkies, because they're full of cream. Well, what's the point?
Listen, I don't pretend to understand how gay men's minds work, so I'm not going to even answer that question. Just
fine.
Because to me, you see, I see a penis, I'm like, ew. They see a penis, like, oh yeah,
Twinkies.
that's what I want.
Twinkies. Yeah.
We got totally different wavelengths, me and the gay men. I don't know. I don't know why they call it things they do. I don't know.
I think Edwin needs to explain it to us. Papa Edwin, why are they calling the young gay, pretty gay boys Twinkies? When I was a kid, we call them ladyboys.
Well, those are the ones now, because you see, because there's actual ladyboys everywhere now. You can't. That's too confusing.
It is confusing. You're right. That is true. It has become confusing. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Edwin, Papa Edwin, help me out.
No, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind Richardson as Luther. I think he'd actually kill that. I don't mind. Here's the thing, Superman for me, I'm very big on the aesthetics, because the character is obviously awesome. I don't think the character is going to be the problem. I think he'll actually probably make a good Superman in character form. I think he'll write Superman fine. It'll be everything around him that'll be ridiculous.
Yeah,
but
which it shouldn't be.
It's the aesthetic of Superman, which is why I didn't like the black. I don't like the black suit. I don't like the black suit in the comic. I don't like the black suit in the last Justice League movie. I don't like Superman in black, period. Because the aesthetic of him, the symbolism of him, is supposed to be aspirational and hopeful.
Yeah.
Black is not aspirational and hopeful.
No.
And if you give me a guy that looks like somebody I could look like if I get in the gym more, I'm not interested in that. I want somebody who I look at and I'm like, damn. Right? Yeah. That's what I want. Yeah. Because if I don't have that thing that's aspirational about it, right? The superhero physique, if that's not there, and it's just a dude who is just, looks like he jogs on a regular basis, I'm taken out of it immediately. He's one of the only characters that's like that, especially, of like comic book characters in general, where there's the aesthetic of him. One of the reasons why Zack Snyder's Superman movies suck is the aesthetic's wrong. It's gloomy, it's dark. The way he had Superman operate is not how Superman operates. Like, so much of the stuff about Superman that makes Superman special is simply the visuals, right? Like the very first issue of Superman, everybody who's ever heard of a comic book or seen comic books can probably recite it in their mind what it looked like. What was it? He's holding the car above the woman, right? That visual is perfection.
Yeah.
Because it's exactly what he is.
He's a hero.
In one image.
Yeah.
Yes. So you can't fuck that up. If you don't nail that, it's why Christopher Reeve was perfect. He looks like a hero.
He is.
He has very heroic features.
He was
kind. It's why and he was actually a hero, especially near the end of his life. He really became a very kind man. We know that Henry is a good man, right? We just know it. That has to be exuding off of them.
That's true.
And I don't know if these guys he's got picked here give me that feeling. Like, if I look at them, do I trust them?
True.
No, I don't trust them.
That's true. Henry does have that nerd quality.
Yep.
The Killing Floor, Edwin, it's a good book, actually. If you guys haven't read it, it's a pretty good book. He has put a statement out, and he says that Thundera is the official suppository of gay references for the program. Thank you very much, Edwin. But he also says the vampire actor is the best Batman since Adam West, so unconventional actors can work out. No, we agree.
Yeah.
We do agree.
Yeah.
Pattinson so far has done a good job. And it depends, right? We have to see what Reeves does in the second movie, because it's kind of a Ray situation for me, right? Like in the first, The Force Awakens, the first movie back with Daisy Ridley. There were a lot of plot holes in that movie. It was sloppy and messy. It wasn't inspiring at all. However, the way it left it, I was like, okay, all right, let's see. She probably was trained by Luke when she was a kid, or there was going to be some story that would explain why she was capable, right? Now, of course, we didn't get that. and she became
No.
this insufferable Mary Sue, unfortunately. But when the first movie dropped, even though it wasn't a great movie, I was like, okay, well, let's see what Rey is. We have to let's pause a minute and wait and see what they're going to do with it. And of course, we wasted our time doing that. Pattinson for me is the same situation. In the first
Yep.
movie, he is gloomy and dour and all those kind of things. He's not Batman yet, but that's the point. He's not Batman yet. So if
Right.
we've had this conversation, if they evolve him properly, oh dude, you could
Yeah, I
have
think
the
it'll be
best
great.
Batman ever.
Yeah. And the best thing about Pattinson is the fact that he is on board with that. Because if you watch some of his interviews where he's talking about it, he's done his research, clearly, deep research on Batman. And that's what he kind of seems like by what he's saying he's excited about is the way he worded it in one of the interviews is becoming the legendary character Batman or something like that. He said something to that effect.
Yeah.
So I think that is the plan. I think Reeves, it would be very stupid of Reeves to tell the story he does in that first movie and then in the next movie tell the same story. Like all of the Thor movies.
Oh God.
Don't even get me started, Chester. Don't do it.
Thor movies. I won't because I don't like it either. Excuse me. But anyway, there you go. Short list. Of course, this is early days. They're gonna slow roll this. They need to. This needs to be right, dude. They can't afford.
He has to kill this.
Yeah.
This is it. Everything else, all his other highfalutin plans he's got, that's great. That's awesome. Maybe it'll be like him making a booster gold. Yep, I'd like to see that.
Yep.
But you got a big, literal, titanic obstacle in your path that you must get over, and that's Superman. If you fuck this up, it's over. It's done.
I mean, Gunn can definitely do Booster Gold. The Creature Commando is going to be great. I can already tell, because it's perfect for him. And the simple fact of the matter is, I don't think Gunn should have anything to do with writing Superman at all. I think he should go hire a team and let them do it. But we'll see. Anyway, we're starting to get movement. Things are moving. I
still say, Chester, I've been saying it for a long time. The guy who writes My Hero Academia, let him write the script for the Superman movie. He will nail that shit. He will make you the best Superman movie you've probably ever seen.
And he'd be giggling the entire time.
At least the script would be. Whether or not they execute it, I think the script would be phenomenal. Because he absolutely understands that character better than anybody alive, I think. His All Might, that's Superman. That's it. He nailed it.
Edwin, are you talking about Ben Affleck? I think he stroked out about 30 years ago, to be honest with you. Although, to be fair, I watched that movie Air. And of course, when Ben is with Matt, when he's with Matt, he is better. To be fair, he is better. That movie was spectacular, dude. That's one of the best dramas I've seen in years and years and years. And it's a stupid little movie about Nike becoming Nike, really, because the Air Jordan thing is what really put them over the top, right? And made them what they are today. But that movie is spectacular, dude. I mean, would you expect that theme, that situation to be so amazing? I mean, Matt just kills it, dude. So
probably
good.
Actually isn't. They dramatize the hell out of it, I'm sure. But it's interesting that Matt has found this weird little niche that he seems to be stellar in, and it's obvious product placement movies that are just basically branded movies, like Ford versus Ferrari, right? For instance, there's an example in this movie, and he seems to do very, very well in them.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, he does, and Jason Bateman was great in it. Chris Tucker was wonderful. It was great to see Chris again. He's a really nice man, Chris Tucker.
He is.
He's not like Chris Rock. Chris is a wonderful guy. And I think her name is Viola Davis. That actress, I mean, she makes noise that she shouldn't make often. She does do stupid things, but you cannot take away that lady's ability because she's a great actress.
She's got it.
Yeah, she got it, man. So if you haven't seen Air, go watch that because it's really good. I would like to suggest John Wick because I loved it, but then the very end, I hate it to a point that I would not recommend it at all.
Everybody has either said they hated it or they felt very unsatisfied by the
Yeah,
ending.
no,
of
that
it.
ending was stupid. It's a
Yeah.
complete lack of understanding of what you're making. It's, it's a typical Hollywood narcissism. They think they're making some philosophical thing. Dude, it's a popcorn action flick. No, I mean, what are you doing? People love John Wick. We want John Wick to win. That's it. That's it. We don't care about all these other side characters.
Well,
They can
there's-
add flavor and stuff. Fine. We want John Wick to win, and John Wick did not win.
Well, the crazy part about it is there's so much left undone. Like, we never even saw the rest of the High Table. Never.
No, we didn't.
Who are they?
And they'll spin it off, and we'll get some stuff for that.
Well,
possibly. There's way
I
too much
don't.
money there.
I'm just gonna say it. I don't think he's dead. I think that was a
Spoilers.
test in the waters type thing, right? Like,
Well,
let's see how the audience
yeah,
reacts,
but
because
did
it
you
just
see-
comes out of nowhere.
Did you
Like,
see
all of a
the-
sudden,
Yeah, but did you see the interviews?
yes.
They were
did.
literally talking about, well, we're making a story about consequences. There needs to be consequences.
Yes.
They were going this circle. Keanu too. So their intent is that spoilers, he's dead. That's their intent. But they didn't even do it in a good way, and they left it ambiguous for a reason, because the wounds he took, that ain't killing John Wick. That's the Baba Yaga
No,
bitch.
he took way
Right.
worse wounds
I mean, what are you
throughout the
doing?
whole movie. He
but-
got bounced off of like 35 cars,
no,
and yet
it was great.
that
Well, that's the thing. I mean, he's a great fighter and stuff, but the thing about John Wick is you can't kill that thing.
he's a
Right?
tank.
He's a tank. And I love the movie. I actually think it's might be the best of them.
It is really good.
uh,
It's just like it, and the best part about it is it got up until that very end. Everything about it was the director telling us, "All right, I understand what I'm making here," and what he was making here is a character that is supposed to just be a will. Like, he's not even a living being anymore.
No,
he's
he's a
just will.
Yeah.
He doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what we got. So we got a ton of action. Probably the longest action scenes I've ever seen in
Oh,
any
they were
movie
great.
ever.
They were great.
So
yeah.
long.
Yeah.
But then the ending just, I
It's
don't
not
know.
right, dude.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing with the John Wick Chapter 5, Roger, is Lionsgate. Of course, they greenlit that immediately. Of course they did.
Yes.
But the director and Keanu said, "Nah, we're taking a break," and Lionsgate's
Yeah.
not pleased about it. Okay,
Yeah.
but that's your situation. As far as they're concerned, that's the ending they want, right?
And
Now,
in
will they be allowed
fairness-
to keep it? I don't know.
in fairness to Keanu, he's getting older, and these movies are
Dude.
very hard to make.
Dude, did you? He's my age, right?
Yeah.
And I exercise a bit. I'm not a nut about it, but a little bit, right? Just to keep the blood moving. But he's my age, and and you can see in that movie the amount of work that man put in.
Yeah, he's killing himself
God,
out
he's
there.
killing himself, dude. After the shooting was done, that guy was sore for weeks and weeks. You know it. You know
Yeah.
it.
So I can't hate him if he's like, guys, I gotta,
No, I
we
get
gotta
it.
chill.
I get
we
that,
gotta
you
chill
know.
out.
But for me, it would have been better if, after that scene, right?
Yeah.
We have Winston looking out. He's got his limo, right, and he's looking out the back window or out the side window, and we zoom in on John just sitting at the stoop of his house, his destroyed house, home. That would have been a fine ending. There would have been no problem with
I
that
think
whatsoever.
if you wanted to keep it totally ambiguous, what they should have did, and I think this was accidental, but I noticed it. If you notice, he has his dog, right? I think Winston or
Mhm.
one of them has the dog, and at one point the dog looks away, which I think was just accidental. I don't think that was an intentional thing, but I would have made that intentional and have it not just like not totally focus on it, but just kind of show you the dog looked over here, like he saw somebody he knew, hinting to the audience that John's not really dead. He's over
Well,
there watching them.
What my wife said about the dog, which is interesting because she did mention it, was that if he were dead, he wouldn't leave the grave.
That's true.
Yeah, and
That's
that
his
would have
pup.
been
That's his
something
baby.
a writer of that caliber would have put it, because it is well written. Let's be fair. It's just a popcorn flick, but they don't let, there aren't many holes, right?
No.
But the thing that irritated me, and I already kind of covered this, but you're here now, is they're talking about 2 spin-offs, right? One of them was with some girl. She's from one of the early movies. I don't even remember her. The other one, though, is with the Akira character, right? The Japanese girl. And it's like, why? Well, I mean, why? I mean, one, she has nothing but a sour look on her face the whole time. She's not interesting. She has no charisma. She looks sickly. She's unattractive. She's not a very
Yeah.
good actress. She doesn't move well. So why would that be your choice? I mean, I was talking about this with Grimlock, but there are several characters through the four movies who you could make spin-offs with, like the black dude
Oh
in the
yeah.
second one. Haley Berry, Halle Berry killed it in the third one. I wouldn't mind a
Yep.
spin-off with her. And the black dude in this one, Mr. Nobody, I wouldn't
Yep.
mind a movie with him. He's interesting. What's he got going on? Right? I wouldn't mind that. So
I thought they were going to do. He was related in some way to Halle Berry's character, and that's why he kept showing up and accidentally, quote unquote, helping John.
well,
That's what I
that's
thought they were
even
going to do.
better. That's even well. No, he was trying to get his payday, but in the end, the dog looked at him and guilted him, so he's fine.
Right. You don't kill John, the
Don't
dog
kill
said.
John.
He's dog friend. You don't
That's
kill
right,
dog friend.
That's true. But no, I would love that. Sure, why not? Why can't that be Halle Berry's character son, and that would let her do a cameo as well? Yeah, no, I would be all on board for that. He was a very interesting character. I mean,
If
that
they
guy had
want to
charisma.
he is a good actor. If they wanted to make, and they are making this into its own universe type situation, cool, fine, I have no problem with that. The solution is not to get rid of John. The solution is to make John the Nick Fury of it. That's the solution. Have him be everywhere. But that way he doesn't have to do as much, right? Keanu doesn't have to kill himself as much. He's the guy organizing, he's in charge, he's doing this and that. Like, I thought a better ending, if you were going to end it where you're not going to make any John Wick movies anymore, is instead of having him die at the end, have him take over at the end. Like,
Right.
the only way he
You
can
could've-
get free is he has to control this thing. That's
right.
the only
Make
way.
him the elder. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Make him the new elder, or make him the new manager of the New York Continental. Kill off
Yes.
Winston. Yeah, no, there are many ways you could have went with it, but they left it ambiguous because they wanted him dead, but they know the studio's not going to let him do that, right?
Right.
But
And they also said that, we'll see how the reception to this is. And then when they did the Japan tour, which is a few months after for whatever reason, they would sit in Tokyo or wherever they had their big press conference at a bar, him and Keanu would, and decide, do we want to do this again?
right.
And it's obviously, I think they do want to do it again. I just think Keanu is tired. He's old. He's an older man now.
Yeah.
And these movies are hard. And he's doing
But-
all of it. He does like 90% of his own stunts.
Yeah,
So
the thing is, if they made some kind of spin-off and did something different with it, and he shows up in a cameo in the next movie, I'm good. I am good.
Yeah.
If they had just left him sitting on the stoop of his house, like I'd said, I would have been happy with that. Good enough. Story done, right? I think there's a lot of meat left on the bone. We have the Continental coming up, and that's like a mini series, but it's going to tell us how Winston became in charge of the Continental. That's a great idea.
Yep.
There's a lot of things you can do with this world. It's a very interesting world. You could focus on all kinds of different things. I mean, choose some other family somewhere in the world, maybe say an American family, right?
Yep.
Or organization, and have some young prince coming up to try to, see if he's worthy to take over the family.
I
or
wouldn't
something like
mind.
that.
I wouldn't mind. I really liked the Japanese Winston, right? The head of the Continental. The Japanese.
Oh, he's great.
I like
Yeah, he's
that
wonderful.
character.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
I wouldn't mind learning more about him and John. Like, if you're going to do spin-offs of John,
Well,
John
he's
Wick's universe,
dead.
do prequels of John. Go find an actor who looks enough like Keanu that you could believe he's a young John Wick,
Yeah.
and do it. Let's flesh his story out more. Like, I
But-
want to know more about how did he meet Winston? How did he meet this? That I can't remember the character's name, but the Japanese guy. How did he meet all these people that just all know him,
Mhm.
and most of them fear him? I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that played out.
Yeah.
Especially if you have the same director and you just find an actor who, because they're out there, who look enough like Keanu and have enough of Keanu's, physical charisma to pull it off. I don't see why you couldn't do that. I think that could be
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things you could do. I enjoyed Donnie Yen in it, but we don't need any more Donnie Yen. That was perfect. Leave it be, please, please, please. Please. Donnie's getting old. Let him relax, please. But the thing that irritates me about the news I'm hearing is about that Akira girl. Now she's not. She's like part half Japanese or something like my kid.
Yep.
And of course she's from Japan. She's been living in Europe a long time. She's like a pop singer. And her Japanese is absolutely perfect. But my God, dude, she's a charisma sink. I mean, and she looks sickly. I mean, she looks sickly.
Yeah.
And because she's got those tired eye look all the time. Her eyes are always kind of look like she's tired, and she's
Yep.
so white and pale. And more important than that, you didn't do anything to endear us to her. She was
No.
dour the whole time. She was just this dour thing. And when they try to make her look cool in the action scene, dude, she was lame. Her movement was lame, lame, lame.
Right.
And of course, are you surprised? She's a pop singer.
Right. Yeah. No. No. If you're gonna do it, you want to do a spinoff with a chick. Hallie'd be better.
Hallie
choice.
would be great. I mean,
Yeah.
because Hallie gets noisy sometimes. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
She's an older lady, but she put the work in, man. Good for her. Good for her.
Yeah, she was training with Keanu pretty much
She
the whole
was.
time.
Yeah, good for her,
Uh,
man.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this series, right? Is the guy the director, Stelensky, or whatever his name is, he's a former stuntman, but he's also former military.
Mm.
And so he actually knows his shit when it comes to guns and how to actually do this stuff. And he knows, obviously, how to make action scenes not look terrible, which is why I think 4 is just... all the action scenes are phenomenal. There's not one in there that's
it's great.
not good.
Yeah.
The cinematography is next level. Like, there's no reason this movie should have the cinematography that it does. Some of these shots are ridiculously gorgeous, but it does. And that's one of the things that makes John Wick so awesome.
Oh, the locations are beautiful, dude.
Locations, all of it. Like, they did everything right. It's just
the
the
last
ending is
10
really not
seconds.
satisfying at all.
Yeah.
It's just not... like, if you want to kill him, okay, fine, but it's got to be more than that.
Yeah, at least put a
It can't
bullet
just
in
be
his
that.
chest or something. Jesus.
Like, give me something that's like awesome. Let him go out awesome, right? He just kind of went out with a whimper. John doesn't go out with a whimper. He has to go out with a bang if he's going out.
What they were trying to insinuate was that he had finally, I don't know why, but he'd finally accomplished his task, and therefore the magic of John Wick had gone away because he's going to hell.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they were trying to express.
Which is stupid, because in the other movies, the reason why he wanted to keep fighting was because he wanted to remember his wife.
Yeah.
That's what he said. He didn't want her memory to die. And then he just like, all right, I give up. I'm done.
Good enough. Yeah. Although it was funny with the younger Skarsgård there. He's a solid. All those Skarsgårds are really good actors. But it was interesting because I kind of could see the pattern in what scenes they shot and when. Because clearly in the beginning he was trying really hard to have a French accent. He was trying, and then as the shooting went on, he gave up.
Yep.
But those were not shot in order.
No.
Yeah. It's quite clear when things were shot and when they weren't. Good on him for trying, though.
I will say this: the duel, I liked the little twist, even though I saw it coming.
Oh, sure.
I liked what they were the way they resolved that. I thought it was clever. Obviously, Winston got to have the nice little sarcastic jab at him. It's just, man, they did everything right except the conclusion.
Yeah.
You're right. I agree with you. I think that was the big, like, it's a sour taste in a lot of people. That was the main complaint most people have. It's just like, nobody wanted that.
No, and it just
especially
goes
not
to show
in the fourth movie. Like, what?
No, but it just goes to show you they don't. It's that Hollywood narcissism. They don't. They think they're making something grander than they are. It's just a popcorn action flick, and it's great fun. We love it. It's not some, Buddhist philosophy, a demonstration to teach the audience something. Fuck off, dude.
Yeah.
It's just a popcorn flick. And, God, these people. There has to be content. Our stories about consequences. It has to be about consequences. Fuck you and your consequences.
Yeah. Why can't the consequence be a much better? If you want to punish John, a better consequence is he can never get out of the life. And in fact, now he's in charge of the life.
Mm-hmm.
He has to take over it. He's damned to always be a part of it now.
That would have been poignant.
Yes.
That would have
Not,
been
oh,
poignant.
I'm dead now.
Right.
I'm dead.
Right. I mean, if they had rewritten a little bit and had, everybody's life was on the line and John has to make a decision and
Yep.
he chooses to support his family, basically,
Yeah.
and take over the reins and never get out. That would have been way more poignant and interesting. I do want to make one last little thing. We did lose Lance. What's his name?
Lance Reddick.
Lance Reddick, right? We did lose him, unfortunately, and of course they gave a bit of a memorial homage. And I think there was one little scene added for that. I don't know if you noticed that between Winston and Keanu, they were lamenting his death. I have a
Yep.
feeling that was shot later, right?
Probably.
And added in. But the thing that was really, really unfortunate with his character David was they killed him off so quick.
Yep.
I mean, I really would have liked to see more of him. I love
I
that
almost
character.
wonder if maybe there was something wrong, and maybe they're not talking about it or something, because that kind of was another one was just like, oh, what, why? Because that character was in every one of the movies up till that point, and was one of the most beloved characters in every one of the
Oh
movies.
yeah,
Because
he's a great actor. He
perfect.
exudes that awesomeness. He exudes it. He was so wonderful in that, and it's unfortunate we lost him. He's way too young. But yeah, that was. I mean, what are you gonna do? But that was unfortunate.
Yeah, no, I would recommend, if you like the first three, to watch it.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
Just know the end's gonna piss you off.
It's very unsatisfying at the least. But that's Hollywood nowadays, unfortunately. But I think you're right. I think your assessment that he got, whether he did it intentionally or whatever, the director guy, Stileski, he got up his own butt.
He did.
And he started thinking he was telling some grand, Greek tragedy here. And it's like, bro,
no,
chill.
No.
Chill out, bro. You're telling something cool. I like it, but let's chill out. All right. Not everything needs to be some kind of odyssey or something, right? It doesn't need to have a terrible, horrific ending. Not everything needs that.
And it's in complete contradiction to the fourth movie as well. Because in this movie, they relaxed. It's a comic book. Go with it. The action is ridiculous. It's over the top, which is great. They allowed more comedy in there, and so all that relaxed nature. But at the same time, you're getting philosophical with me. What? I mean, one of the best little comedy bits in there, because there's a lot of references to old kung fu movies and TV shows and things like that. There's a lot of little Easter egg winks in it. But one of the funniest ones, and I didn't know Keanu could do comedy, but he can, because he picks up a pair of nunchucks, and the whole time he's using it like a European flail, right? He's not using it like he would, and he's just absolutely cranking people as a flail. And then actually after he uses it effectively and drops these guys, he tries to do a little bit of the Bruce Lee thing very badly, right? And then just kind of wraps it around his neck, and you're thinking, okay, well, he just didn't put the work in for that. But no, because after that he keeps using it, and he shows all kinds of little fancy little, he's not using it properly, but he shows all kind of fancy little maneuvers. He practiced with that quite a bit. So that spot, that little thing, was a Bruce Lee comedic wink, is what it was. And it was funny. Made me laugh.
Keanu, he actually has pretty good comic timing. There's I think it was on Netflix, there's a show where he plays himself, but he plays a douchebag version of himself, like he's somebody's boyfriend or whatever.
Anyone would believe that, but okay.
Well, he pulls it off, and it's actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
There's a part where they go to this really fancy, ritzy restaurant, of course, because he's big Hollywood guy, and they have a thing where you can order meat, but they then give you a headset to listen to the animal dying as you're eating it. Mm-hmm. Which is what? That's horrific, but it's so funny. I'd recommend finding that clip. Keanu's performance there is hilarious. He starts crying. It's so ridiculous. It's like that kind of ridiculous satirical humor. It's way
Right.
over the top.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I heard people complaining about the nunchaku scenes, and it's like,
Yeah.
boy, you really didn't get that at all. That went right over your head,
Yeah.
because the fact that he's using it like a flail, because that's what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Lee and a few other people I've seen in my life, but Bruce Lee particularly, brought that to a unique level, right? In a very, very Asian way, right? But it's basically a flail, and he was using it as a flail the whole time, and very effectively as a flail. And like I said,
Yep.
later he did little little flips and little things like that to put around his neck and various things that showed that Keanu put the hours in to handle that tool properly. But that one scene where it's so pathetically bad, little Bruce Lee thing, is intended to be funny. There are several little, dry humor clips in this movie, intentionally so. And I have a
Yep.
feeling the critics just didn't catch it. It went over their head, I think.
Well, I think like a good example is right near the end where they have the stair gag and he just falls forever down the
Right,
stairs.
right.
That was
Twice.
definitely meant to go, oh,
Twice.
come on.
Yeah,
Like
that's
that's
the whole point.
meant
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah.
It's a joke. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's lots of little comedy in it, which I'm happy that they relaxed, because that's good. And and keep in mind, this is a 3-hour movie basically. But it
And it's
doesn't,
almost all action.
and
Like
it's great. It feels
whew.
wonderful. The pacing is good. It's lighthearted as it should be. It's more comic booky as it should be. And I really think they hit their stride with the fourth one. They really did.
Yep.
And good on. I mean, I knew as soon as I saw him on the screen, I was like, "Ooh, he's lost weight," and I know
Yeah, he's a
why.
lot better shape.
I
Yeah.
know why.
Yeah.
Because
A
if
lot better shape.
you can see the practice, and that's good because John Wick is practiced. That's the point, right?
Yes.
And he went and put the work in. The little gun flips. I mean, and the thing is, you have to keep in mind, it's hard to pay attention to everything because you're focused on John, as you should be. But try your best to keep one eye on the other guys too, because they're
Yep.
doing a phenomenal job as well. Now, keep in mind, Scott Atkinson is in this movie. Scott is one of the greatest stuntman, martial art step-ins of all time. Right, Scott. He plays the Spanish lieutenant for the Marquis. And he's wonderful as always. Scott's always amazing, right? He's done a bunch of movies with Donnie Yen too. But anyway, Scott does a great job. But there's several little scenes in there that there's things going on you wouldn't notice because you're looking at John. But
Right.
those guys, going from the gun and drawing a knife at the same time, and there's all kind of little quick movements of changing weapons, switching weapons, reloading, checking guns. Like I said, Scott does a really smooth move where Keanu knocks the gun out of his hand, and in the same motion, he's drawing a weapon, a knife, right? I mean,
Yes.
just beautiful, beautiful choreography, and it's smooth, clean, smooth. And it's not just John. I mean, Keanu put the work in. You can see it. Oh, it's so beautiful and smooth. All these little motions and these little ticks and these little checks and all these things he's doing. It's really smooth. But it's
Yep.
not just him. The other dudes are doing it too. Smooth, dude. Scott really caught my eye because there's a lot of scenes in that movie where Scott is being Scott. But you don't notice it because you're focused on Keanu.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's
No,
impressive, dude.
It's and like I said before, I understand why Keanu wants a break. I think he's
Oh
earned
yeah,
it.
sure.
I
Scott too.
think
He's about the same age.
yeah, I think we'll definitely get a John Wick 5. It was too successful for one. And two, there's just too much meat left on the bone. There's no good reason not to do it. Now, what that will look like with Keanu at that age, we don't know. There might be more, stuntmen stepping in instead of Keanu doing it all. But regardless, I think that will happen because it's too successful. I don't think there's any good reason to leave it. Like a lot of times, we have the idea is less is more. Always leave them wanting more. Know when to walk away.
Mhm.
Yeah, but you got it wrong.
Yeah, you
like
did.
this wasn't the time to walk away.
And there were only a couple of scenes that obviously a stuntman was involved for Keanu. Then, to be
Yep.
fair, he did most all of it himself. Like
Yep.
that floor drop where they fall through the floor of that great
Yes.
overhead panning section, which was a lot of fun. He did that. You can see it straight on. You can see Keanu is did the tackle and went down the hole. Now I'm sure there was a
Yep.
bunch of of those stuntman mattresses down there, so everyone's all good. But he did do that. And there's a lot of scenes where he's doing it, particularly on the motorcycle and in the car. I don't think there was a lot of stunt work from other people. The stair, I would say, was not Keanu.
No, probably
Yeah,
not. That's
probably
too
not.
risky.
That's way too risky.
Um,
Yeah, but in general,
I
he
think
did
my
most of the
favorite
stunts.
of the action scenes is the homage. I don't know if it was intentional, probably though, to Hotline Miami, with the top down scene with the fire shot with the Dragon's Breath shotgun.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was
It
cool.
looks so
That's what
cool.
I'm talking about. I talk about that top shot in the
Yeah.
broken down building. That was great. That was great. That was really cool. Yeah.
It's great. I want more. Damn it, give me more.
Yeah, no. And like I said, I'm fine not to see John Wick anymore. You can give me someone else in that world. It's a cool world and it's a cool taste. You need to find someone who's really interesting, and we want to see that story. Your idea
Sure.
that the Mr. Nobody could potentially, especially with, I'm getting you're seeing that because there's a dog with him. But Mr.
Yep.
Nobody being Halle Berry's son,
Yep.
dude, I'm 100% down. Give me that.
Yep.
Give me
I
that.
love it.
Yeah.
It works.
Let's see what's he up to. What's his goal? Because we see he's a super smart guy, and he has this plan, right? But we don't know much. He's still a mystery. He's Mr. Nobody. But that character is very interesting to me, especially if you bring Hallie in that way, and she cameos in as the mom giving advice or getting mad or whatever it is. That would be a
Yep.
lot of fun. There are a few characters I wouldn't mind to see again, but not Akira. Please.
Well, that's the one you're getting. So
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
See, again, like if you're gonna make because they're making TV shows and things, is the plan. Okay, cool. Set one in Kyoto. It was Kyoto, right? The
No,
Kyoto Continental.
Osaka.
Osaka.
Well,
Set one in
Hollywood
Osaka.
Osaka. That was not real Osaka at all.
Right.
That was
Set one there at that
ridiculous.
Continental, and because it's an international organization, so people can come in from all over. Set one there and bring that guy back because he was phenomenal. I love that guy as
He's a great actor.
Winston.
He's always good. But my wife and I, as soon as we saw the Osaka Continental, we both groaned because all the Yakuza were Malaysians. All the decorations were Chinese, not Japanese. It's clearly nowhere near Osaka. They had some stock footage from that one street in Osaka everyone recognizes. There's nothing Japanese about it. It's Hollywood, Japan, right? It's so bad.
Well, make it real Japan this time.
Although Grimlock, I think the two sumos in the movie were probably actually Rikishi, though. I imagine they might have been. Two guys, because they didn't have to say much. They just were being Rikishi. But yeah, no, the only thing I would say, it looks like this is our conversation for today, and that's fine. The last stuff I had wasn't important anyway. The two, the only thing I would say is, I don't know, I don't think it's a negative, but it's different, and that's fine, I guess. They went so heavy into just raw action and the bulletproof suits and stuff like that, that it missed some of the nuance of the first films. And the nuance of the first films of the precision of, like that black guy in the second one, he's a great character. I mean, I don't remember if he was killed or not. I think he was. I think he survived.
Yes.
Yeah.
He stabbed him in the heart perfply. He said
exactly. Yeah. Now I wouldn't mind to see a spin-off of that guy. He was pretty interesting. But anyway, the precision of it, and the the intimacy of it is lost from the first movies. And this is just full on John. I don't know how many 300 people dead by John Wick in this movie.
Least. Yeah, he's a one-man army, literally. He's taking out whole scores of people.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a sacrifice there. And like I said, I'm not saying it doesn't ruin it, but it is a departure from one of the little subtleties that I enjoyed from the first movie, right? First couple of movies, yeah.
Yep. They definitely decided to abandon all pretense of realism.
Yeah, no.
Which-
And that's fine.
Which is fine. The only reason I had a problem with what they did at the end of the third one is because they hadn't done that yet, right? They hadn't decided. The third one was still very much in that much more pseudo-realistic vein. And then at the end, he falls off a damn building and survives.
Which is great. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this movie, there was never any pretense that they weren't going all out. From the moment one, it was all out.
Yeah. And how wonderful is Lawrence Fishburne in this? I mean,
He's
that
so good.
dude.
Yeah, so
He
good.
exudes charisma. He's so awesome.
I wouldn't mind. Again, they have a lot of great characters. They've done cool
Yeah.
stuff. They've made this. That's one of the things we all love about John Wick, right? Is they made this universe, this world, filled it with interesting characters, and then didn't tell us too much.
Right.
They just kind of let those characters exist.
Yeah.
So
No,
I wouldn't
sure.
mind seeing more about
Sure.
the Bowery
How
King.
about a show called King of the Bowery?
Yeah.
That could be interesting. A different angle on the world. Another quick shout out though. They did give us a little bit more lore about this universe, and it came via my man Clancy Brown.
Yeah, old Clancy.
Wasn't it nice to see him, huh?
It is.
Yeah.
It's always nice to see Clancy, and he does a
Mr. Krabs
fantastic
himself.
job.
Yeah, he's
Yes,
awesome.
which is crazy. He did a fantastic job as the voice of Justice, I would say.
Yeah,
in
that's
this
what he
movie.
was.
That's what
he was
he was.
almost priest-like in
Yes.
his position as the harbinger. There's lots and lots of fun things you could do with it. It's a really cool world. Matter of fact, here's the interesting thing for me: 4 movies, and we don't even know what the world is called. We don't
true.
know what they call it. We don't know what the organization is called. We have information. The Continental is an instrumental part of the world. The High Table is the ruling body of it, et cetera, et cetera. But we don't know what it's called. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
They entitled
I love it.
Yeah.
And that actually helps it. It helps build the
The
mystique of it.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, and they always got the tattooed girls running everything. I love that. I love that fact. How sexist of them. Because it's only girls working in dispatch,
Yeah, every time.
and they're all tattooed and nose ringed up too. Now, what did you think? What did you think about the Romani, his so-called family? Because in there we get a little bit of John's background. It sounds like he was an orphan in Bulgaria or Belarus. No, Bulgaria.
I think it was Bulgaria.
So he's Bulgarian, but he was a little baby, and he got picked up and thrown into the world. And of course, that's interesting. We didn't know that about John. We assumed he was an American, but he's not. So,
right.
And I thought it was also interesting that they throw these Romanian people are in Germany, Berlin of all places. Why wasn't it in Romania?
That's another good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I am Hans. What was his name? Hans, right?
Yeah, Hans, yeah.
Klaus. No, I am Klaus. I am Klaus. I don't know why that was in there. It was just some bit of comedy. I love the big fat German though. He was awesome, dude. Now that's a British actor, I think, actually. But he was so cool because there's a bunch of those action scenes. Dude, that's him.
Yeah.
So what did they have in a fat suit or something?
I think so. I don't think he's that big, like in real life.
I kept looking at it because it's it's the Tom Cruise effect, right? You see the action drag from a distance, right? The old way of doing it. These people had actual skill. That big fat German guy was kicking ass, dude. It was beautiful movement. Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a shame. It's a shame that the ending was so sour for a lot of people.
No.
I think it was shot beautifully. I liked all the cinematography, especially that last, sunrise duel.
That was beautiful.
I just, man, I want more. And I don't, it's fine if they use another character and tell a different story, that's fine. But there was still more to John. That's why the ending's so unsatisfying, that he wasn't done. Like, he went and killed the Elder, and then he's not going to go kill all the High Table? That doesn't make sense. None of that made sense. Like there's more for him to do. Is my point.
There was, and I agree with you. I think it would have been better if the to save their ass. An ultimatum was, they bribe him or put people in danger,
Yeah.
and he's basically forced to become the new elder, right?
Yes.
And as soon as he killed the elder, lots of spoilers, by the way, guys. As soon as he killed the elder, which is too bad they didn't get that old actor. And he even mentions that he's the new one, so fair enough, no plot hole. But
Mhm.
but whatever. As soon as he killed the elder, that's what I thought they were going to do. In the
Yeah.
end, the
Me
only way
too.
to fix it for him to take over and become the new elder. That's what I
Right.
figured was going to happen to the Baba Yaga. But and maybe they were thinking that too, and something changed.
Could be. Could be.
Because you're right,
Be-
the way they ended it is really not the way they started it, the movie.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's not the way they started. It's not even really the way they start the overarching narrative, because the overarching narrative doesn't really start till the second movie. The first movie is kind of a one and done story.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, they
and
didn't know it was
it's
going to hit, so
yeah, they didn't realize that. So the second movie is where they started to build out the world a lot more and start up with these these other
yeah,
narratives and
well,
things.
sure. Well, it's like
And
Star Wars. Don't you listen to George Lucas?
yes, I always thought that the ending was going to be either the total destruction of the High Table, or John has to take it over.
Right.
It's the only way. It's the only way out is through.
It's through.
And
Yeah.
I don't know. Death is not an ending for John Wick.
No.
Is my point.
No, it's
He
dumb.
is supposed to be a being of pure will.
Yeah.
You can't just
Well,
kill that.
Lionsgate will not let them get away with it. I guarantee
No.
you. Like I said, they've already greenlit a John Wick 5. We will get it eventually, even if they have to do it without him. But I don't think they'll have to. But Lionsgate's not going to allow that to happen. Now, what
Yeah.
we might end up getting is some other little spin-off things, and we get a cameo from Keanu,
Mhm.
right? Where he's
Well, that's
just
definitely going to happen. It's already been
retired,
filmed.
and
It's already been filmed for one of the movies, which is the one that's a prequel that's set between the second and third John Wick movies or something. He's already made a cameo that's been filmed for that.
what is
So
that
we
one?
know that's coming. I don't remember, but it's one of the ones that they've already started.
Is that
working
with the
on.
girl we don't remember? It's probably that one.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And once again, if we go back 30
Ballerina.
years, I wouldn't
It's
even
from the
say.
Ballerina one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Ballerina. Yeah. It's another girl one. And the thing is, 30 years ago, I wouldn't even blink at it. But the thing, we do not have male-led things right now. Not many. And you're going to
Yes.
go with the one we have, Fast and Furious maybe as well. And you're going to throw that away? And you're going to just go full girl? The next two spin-offs are both girl-based? Why?
Dumb.
Why? Yeah.
Dumb.
Especially
Dumb.
because I don't understand it, because that black dude, they set him up so beautifully for a spinoff.
Yeah.
They set it up beautifully. He's he's interesting. And there's no reason for him to be there otherwise.
I don't even hate the idea of to get out of, because obviously they're gonna make a fifth one. Like, let's be honest, we know they're going. To get out of the ending to that one, he should play a part in that character. He obviously grew, over the course of the movie, him and John become, I don't know about friends, but at least allies. I don't have any problem with that, with him having some part to play in it.
No.
Bringing John back, quote unquote, and helping him stay hidden until he's ready to do whatever he's going to do. I think that's fine.
Yeah. But we'll see. They're good. As Ethereal Dragon has said, they will keep milking this. You better believe they will. And for a while they should. Now Hollywood never knows when to stop. But
Yes.
there's so much meat on that bone. I guarantee it. How much money did that make?
Oh, a lot. Let me see here. Let's see.
Sorry, Grimlock. We got into a John Wick conversation.
What?
That is fine. I haven't seen 4 yet, but other than that,
We just spoiled the shit out of it for you. Apologize.
Not really. Spoilers really don't bother me anymore.
Yeah, no, it's a great movie. Go watch it.
I'll be honest. I would rather have spoilers these days than to be pissed off.
Yeah, and for the only negative thing I would say in this, in the other past movies, we got a hottie here or there. There's no hotties in this movie though.
Yeah, not really.
No hottie. No,
Um,
you got the one Akira girl, but she's the opposite of a hottie.
so over worldwide 429 million,
Eh, eh, eh. They're not
which is the
super high.
most that any of them ever done.
Yeah, yeah. It's
429.
not a
But
super
they're
high
R-rated.
budget movie anyway.
It's an R-rated movie, so very rarely do they get anywhere near even that number.
Why is it R-rated?
Because it's hyper violent.
Because it has guns, Esther.
Yeah, but that's a PG movie when I was a kid.
Well,
There's not even that much blood.
No, not really. But no, yeah, that's why it's R-rated.
There's no titties.
So it doesn't
not a single
draw
top.
in as many families or whatever the hell. And that's why. But for an R-rated movie, that's a lot of money. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, no, and good on them. And I hope we get more. I hope this Winston one, where which I think is a great idea. I hope it's interesting because that's really cool. Finds a younger guy to be Winston, and how did he get in charge of Continental? That's a wonderful idea, right?
Yeah.
And we get to see a young version of everybody. Of course, John won't be involved, but yeah, you never know. It could be there could be a very young, up and coming beginning cameo from a pseudo John Wick.
Young John. Apparently the filming budget was 100 million, so probably about 200 million total. So they made their money.
They doubled it. Yeah. Yep. No, more than enough to keep doing stuff. Anyway, I gotta go. My work is calling me.
Yeah, I gotta go too. My wife is calling me.
Oh, goodness.
Uh-oh.
Would you like to say something, Grimlock?
Oh, no, everybody enjoy your Memorial Day tomorrow. Have a good evening, London.
No,
Memorial
absolutely. Memorial Day, a day off every long weekend. I did have a couple of stories. One that I didn't get to. One was that Knights of the Old Republic is dead in the water. And shock. Of course we're totally remaking and reimagining it. I wonder why that died. And the other one was Pedro Pascal said, "Yeah, I didn't. All my work on Mandalorian was just voice acting. My body wasn't up to it." Yeah. Okay, Pedro, go talk to John or Keanu Reeves. Go talk to Tom Cruise. Go ahead, go have a conversation there. Anyway, take us out of here, man.
Speaking of John Wick, it's kind of interesting that I have this written up here, and it's kind of what John Wick is about. There are 3 hills everyone should see before they die. Their hill to live on, their hill to die on, and their hill to kill on.
Yeah.
And that's what John is all about.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And Donnie Yen had all 3.
Yes.
Later, everybody.